Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We're gonna have a good one today too. We're gonna have a good one today too. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Jesse. Welcome, TikTok family. Welcome, YouTube family. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone's doing great out there. We're gonna have an interesting topic today. We're gonna dive into it today. I know we last time we talked about the elements, and today we're going to put all those elements together. Uh, but right now, we're going to talk about ancestor veneration, and we're going to talk about all those elements and how we put all those elements together in our work. Hello, Abby. Hello, Prosperity. Hello, Juanita. Welcome. All right, we're going to be talking about ancestors. A lot of if I don't know if you guys see my post yesterday, but there was someone uh, on TikTok, I think it was talking about one day we won't communicate with our ancestors. It was so funny. So funny. So we're gonna talk about ancestors today. Again, apparently people don't know about our spiritual sciences and how it works. And how we break down the world of spirit and how we work always are working with spirit no matter what we do in this work. Anything you pick up over here, you working with a spirit. That's just the way it is. And if you're scared to work with a spirit, then maybe this ain't for you, because that's what you claim to be doing in Christianity. A lot of some of you may be coming from Christianity, and that's the same thing you say you're doing. You following the spirit. So I just don't understand it. When you get over here and you want to do some of this, and you don't think you're gonna come in contact with the spirit, you do, and most likely it's gonna be more profound than it is in the Christianity, because now you get to strip it down and look at it, not watered down. You get to see it in this its real raw form. So you gonna see spirit over here. Okay, you're gonna see spirit move over here. Some you probably are not used to over there. Okay, but you're gonna come in contact with the spirit. Okay, and the most important spirits you're gonna come in contact with first is your most elevated, beloved ancestors. I'm not talking about family members. I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm not talking about just family members, because again, I think when people explain ancestors, they tend to put it in a box just with your family. No, most likely them people you gonna be healing from. You go out to your most elevated ancestors, beyond them. You got a whole, and then you start breaking down the meaning of ancestors. Now we're going to family of friends and affinity. Then you have a multitude of ancestors. You don't hear me though. Why do you think all the African spiritual sciences of all the indigenous spiritual sciences, the ancestors come first? It's just no way around that. I'm just gonna say this here for people. If you are a person that looks like me, I'm gonna be absolutely clear about it. Your ancestors always come first. I hope the people in the back heard me. Okay. All this Ricka Moreau. Hi Gerald. Hi Tina. All this Ricka Moreau stuff. Just stop it. Stop, and then stay out of new ages. Them folks, their stuff is different from yours. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you right there, like that ancestor told me. I was over there too. It looked fancy and sparkly and love and light and all that stuff, and it just looked sparkly. Until I start healing ancestors, you need to be over here because you need to be feeling. You don't need to be bypassing. Everything is not love and light. You meant to feel have these feelings for a reason. There's a lot of spiritual bypassing going on over there. They don't want to feel nothing. Okay? When it's time to really sit with something that says love and light. No, everything is not love and light. It's just absolutely not. That's not even balance. What about the spirit that dressed in white? I call them the church ladies. Those are, hey, they be ancestors. That's the Igungun, the most holy of holies. You'll see those ancestors there be like saints. We have ancestors that are saints. That's what I'm telling you. When you be calling on these some of these, especially in Catholicism, those people look just like you. Some of them people was indigenous. Hello, grateful one, the grateful one. This is what I'm telling you. But see, you don't know your folks. You don't know your folks. You ain't been over here dealing with your folks. You don't know how powerful your folks is. They deified your ancestors. Some of your ancestors are Orishas and Loas. This is what I'm telling you. You ain't got no reason to go outside nothing else because your ancestors have perfected it. We just got through talking about Pascal Randolph the other day. Gave a great contribution to magic around the world because he was a natural medium. You understand me? We can go back to Tituba. Tituba showed them necromancy. They didn't know that. You are again a natural medium, a natural connection with this realm. You built different. That's just the way it is. Okay? That is awesome. Yeah, many skip him. Okay? I just found out he bad, and then I feel bad because I didn't. I think I saw him, but because the way he looked, I just assumed that he wasn't ours. But then looking more into him, and I had one of my followers to come in there and drop that on me. I was like, I never heard of him. I've heard of all the others, and I do a lot of occult study, a mystery study. Ancestors told me don't call it that. I'm not gonna call it that. Okay. I do a lot of studying of the mysteries. And so, and I didn't hadn't seen, and I think I seen him, but I just assumed that, he wasn't, he that was just another one of those pretending. And then somebody brought it to my attention and say, no, 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 no. He's an ancestors. He contributed to the work that we do right now today. And I took a dive deep into him last night. Just made a great contribution. If it wasn't for him, uh yeah, the spiritualism movement probably wouldn't have been there. What's fascinating about him is when I look at him and Abanda, because Abanda too, I'm going into my nerdy stuff, you guys. I'm getting nerdy again. I'm sorry for you. Some of you guys probably don't know this, so I'm probably jumping the gun here. I'm so sorry. But when you look at Abanda, Abanda was influenced by spiritualism as well. They have a different way that they contact the Orishas. They got a hoodoo style. They do more of a hoodoo style the way they contact the Orishas. It's very different from everyone else's, the way they approach it. There are a white professors just passed was just doing research on Randolph and Toussaint in Haiti. I'm telling you, powerful. When I look at that, then I have to go back to him and say, where did you learn from? Because he was a single parent. He was brought up in a single parent home. So they don't mention the mothers, and I have to ask about the mothers of these men. Where did they learn that from? Because I know a lot of these spiritual sciences like this, they get passed down first at home in some sort of way. And that's just like me. I don't think I would be in what I was in had my mother not been more spiritual than religious. I have to give her that. Was she the best mother? Absolutely not. But she was definitely spiritual, and she kept taking me to these root workers and stuff like that. And her boyfriend, he knew some stuff and showed me, left a great, impact on me as a child. And I was out there doing hoodoo and didn't even know. I was about 3 or 4 years old. Didn't know I was even doing it. Okay, he's first one that I saw hoodoo with working it. Now that I look, I didn't know what it was. I was just a little girl. But I'm telling you, our ancestors got this stuff in them. Okay, so if you scared of the ancestors, you scared of your folks, I don't know what to tell you. That you got your own folks. They did a good job because now they just scared you away from your folks. I understand. Okay, that's why we break that down all over there. So you can see, and I talk about the categories. No, I do not accept the categories that got our ancestors listed as go ahead experience and demons and stuff, and that is absolutely not true. It is absolute, and they put this in their books now, and we got to go over there and look in the books to go over there and find our folks. Do I like that? Absolutely not. But that's what they got to categorize, and maybe more of us need to write more books by us for us, because I'm telling you, uh, if you let our pale skinned counterparts get their hand on it, they gonna tear it up and make it ugly every time. Okay, but yet you got Solomon over here sitting up here using demons and go ahead experience to build a temple, but they all right with that. I don't understand it, make it make sense. Okay, I'm gonna break this thing all the way down for you to help you understand. All right, it had to be broke down to me because I was listening to the ancestors every time they was showing me. Every time I'm opening up the book, the ancestors are always there. Open your mind. Folks don't want you to have your hands on your stuff, because if you have your hands on your stuff, half of the stuff they doing you wouldn't be going for. Old time root lady said that the secret of the dead is the book of Daniel. See, and I believe that, because when you start looking at that Bible through your hoodoo eyes, the Bible is a mystery book. It's a book of the occult. It's the book of mystery. But because you don't understand the spiritual science, you're taking a lot. You don't know how to use this in your work. You don't understand how our ancestors was using it in their work. Okay, we break that all down. We getting ready to go through the working magic with the Bible. We getting ready to do that at the end of this month. We get driving deep into conjuring hoodoo over there. Okay, and I'm very specific when I give look over these books. I'm gonna give you a lecture and give you a breakdown with it. And I always put your ancestors in front of you. I prefer you not be touching anything if you haven't, again, asked your ancestors. I'm not talking about people. I believe it. And now you're gonna have to go through there and study Daniel, and then look at it with brand new eyes. Because the answers be right there in the Bible, because it's so coded and we don't understand a lot about the spiritual sciences. We don't understand enough about the mysteries, the unseen sciences. Then we'll miss that. We'll miss that. But you have to go in with your hoodoo when your hoodoo eyes is open and you start seeing that Bible more of a tool, a conjure tool, a tool that helps you tap into your ancestral magic and not a religion. Then that book gonna do something for you. Okay. Somebody says speak to the energy you feel from their presence. When you come in contact with ancestors, if you coming in contact with, I'm not talking about family members. I have to keep telling people that, because people have put the ancestors in the box like it's just family members. Uh-uh. You are sadly mistaken. Okay. You come in contact with these ancestors, you cannot tell the difference between an angel and ancestors. Sometimes you'll see that with saints as well. You can't tell the difference. That's what I'm telling you. Some of them you can't tell. Why do you think some of them in our culture we deify? I can go. I'm gonna give you a small example, which I always use him an example. Shango. Shango was a real, actual person, a king that was later turned into an Orisha. Are you understanding me? They say he was a king at one time, that he was an actual person. Okay? You learn by getting the connection with your ancestors. Your ancestors always come first. Your healing comes first. Your healing comes first. Your ancestors come first. You gonna be doing some magic, all right. You're gonna be doing it on yourself to heal yourself, your mind and your body, your spirit, to get you back in alignment. Get you in alignment with these natural forces, and then maybe you can do some stuff. But I don't recommend it before, you know, connecting with your ancestors, because again, the ancestors, there's no separation between them and us. They are living, they are standing with us, and past, present, and future. I give you an example. I remember one time I was going through my mother's picture album, like I did all the time. And I seen one picture that I wasn't familiar with. I don't remember taking that picture. I said, Mom, when did I take this picture? She said, That's not you. I said, Are you kidding me? That's me. She said, No, that's your cousin Marcella. I was floored. I was like, Oh my God, how can I? And I remember my aunt used to say, Oh, I can't stand the way you look sometimes. You look just like your cousin Marcella. And I was like, What? And she looked at my mom, Don't she look like our cousin Marcella? I said, I look like you. I didn't know this until I saw my cousin Marcella. I said, Oh my God, I look just like her. You understand me? I look just like her. You don't know. It's almost like you I reincarnated. It's scary when you see that. When somebody look just like you just like, oh my God, it is so eerie. Do you feel like an ancestor calling stick is necessary? That's up to you. I bought my ancestors one. I let them pick it, and then I made one too. I just made an ancestral stick for myself. So that's up to you. If you feel creative enough to do it, then you can do it. If your ancestors are calling you to do it, don't ask me. You need to be asking your ancestors. I'm not the leader or nobody. This is what we do over there. We get you focused on following your ancestors, trusting your intuition, because that's the disconnection from you and your ancestors. Is you always trying to ask somebody else something instead of sitting on down, being quiet and listening. Whether it have to be through automatic writings or through pendulums or tarot cards, you got to get that going. That's necessary. That is a prerequisite of this. See, I could break this thing down to a science, honey. I should make uh um I feel like that's what our Patreon program over there is, virtual Hogwarts, because we're gonna cover all this. You gonna go to Hoodoo University over there. I'm gonna break it all the way down for you, then build it back up and then break it back down. And have you looking at these occult books. You see, I'm gonna talk to you just like this about it, instead of telling you what our ancestors did, what kind of magic they did. That ain't gonna help you. You understand why they was doing it and how they was putting it together. So when they get to talking to you, you can follow their directions, because they was following the spirit when they put it together. You understand me? And your ancestors' magic may look different from somebody else's magic. That's why we need to get you in contact with your ancestors, talking to them and not nobody else. Nobody else magic is better than your ancestors' magic, because they perfected it. It's okay. I felt them when I was in Puerto Rico. I seen their footprints in the suds of ocean waves. It was loving. Do you like your ancestor calling stick? I've already gave the answer on that. Okay. Yes. Learn to cook to just the recipe. Yeah. Okay. So you already got that in you. That's it. Now if anybody ain't out here, cause that who I feel some type of way about that when I see folks coming up in here and they ain't teaching you how to get with your ancestors first. They steady want to teach you a magic spell. That's gonna keep that child confused, because they don't know what's going on, when they supposed to do it, what's the preparation for it. You just missed a whole bunch of context and told them to go do this. Lord, Then they wonder why it didn't work because they weren't even prepared or probably not in alignment with the work you have suggested to them. Everybody different. Everybody ain't the same. That's why you got some people stuff work, some people stuff don't work. You sitting up there wondering why your stuff don't work. Okay? I don't know what that means. Tamba, Francesca, I don't understand that question you just put in the chat. I don't understand that. I'm sorry. But okay, that's what again, your ancestors come first. Okay? Yeah, they standing right there with you. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have believed that was my cousin. My mama wasn't there. I would have believed that was me. I've had many instances like that. I remember we was at work and this lady, I kept getting this feeling. It's this feeling that I get. I can't even describe it. I can't even describe this feeling, but I knew this lady was related to us. I had never seen her a day in my life until we worked that job. And I started looking at her and I telling my sister, I said, that lady some kin to us. She said, no, that woman ain't. We ain't never seen that woman before. I said, I'm telling you, I don't care what you say. I don't care what nobody else say. It that woman some kin to us. She said, that makes no sense, Penny. I said, I think we need to go over there and talk to that woman. She said, what we gonna ask her? I said, just ask her about her family, who she is and stuff. But I feel like I'm looking at that woman. I feel like I'm looking at myself. My sister said, that woman, Penny, it don't make sense. We went over there and started talking to that woman, started asking her who her folks was and where she from and all this. That woman was some kin to us. My sister was floored, knocked her socks off. She said, Penny, how did you know? I said, I don't know. It was just something coming out for her. Did it again. Working at another place, a little girl younger than me. As soon as I saw her, the ancestors started talking. That's them your folks, girl. Them your folks. Them your folks. Dun 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 dun. It's just like I don't know, sort of like a urgency that happens in me. And the ancestors, I can hear them in my head. Them your folks, girl. That's your folks. That's your folks, girl. You need to talk to your folks. Them your folks. I say, okay, okay, okay. I hear you. I hear you. I know them my folks. I'm gonna ask her that I'm gonna have an opportunity. This went on about 3 or 4 times, and then finally I sat down and talked to her, and she started telling me who her folks was, and she was my cousin. Now I can't even explain how that happens. It's just a knowing. Some people you won't clear causing it until it don't make sense. You say you won't clear causing this, but until you have it, it don't make sense. It's so weird. How I'm able to do that, I don't know. I can just tell you how I feel when it happens. Yeah, sometimes it sounds like an old line phone talking in your ear. My great uncle passed when I was a child, and when we were at the funeral, I had deja vu of it. See, you got the gifts. In a way, I'm the only one that having this experience with the ancestors, and some of you hearing it and you ignoring it because you think you making it up. Then we have practitioners over there like that too, but you ain't gonna be like that around me because we're gonna go back to what we just learned, what we just covered, and how they communicate. It ain't gonna be like you see on no Exorcist movie and all this sort of stuff. It ain't gonna be like that. Them people is Hollywood just done messed that up. I also know things before they happen. Dreams come to pass exactly as I dreamed. See, that used to happen to me a lot when I was real young. It still happened, but not as often as it used to happen when I was a child. It happened often when I was a child. Okay, so the ancestors are is the first. Just don't do it. If you don't want to communicate with your ancestors, because that's the way it's set up. That's the way it is set up. If you don't want to, work with ancestors, then you don't want to do you just don't want to do hoodoo. Okay? Because that's the way it is. How did you connect to your ancestors? Should I meditate? I just start talking to them, going outside, pouring libations, and talking to them and listening and meditating. Yeah, and document what comes up. Do fact check information if you want to. Write it down. A lot of people do that. They do what comes to mind. They do automatic writing. They do pendulums. They do dowsing. They do tarot cards. Whatever is your thing, your medium to talk to your ancestors, do that. But most of the time, you're talking to a spirit that is consciousness. Again, they are consciousness. So that's why I tell people too. This is why a lot of people jump back into religion. You can't fool your spirit. This ain't Christianity. You're not gonna play no mind games over here. Oh, like you playing over there. You're not gonna play them over here because them spirits looking right at you. They can see when you shucking and jiving because they are telepathically communicating with you, and you think you're gonna get over here and shuck and jive and play and act like you don't see what's going on with yourself. Because they're gonna show you once you start connecting with the ancestors, you're gonna start healing yourself. And if you don't want to do it, see that's what happens. Some people don't want to do it, then they run back over there to Christianity. And spirituality is not for you if you ain't gonna do the work. You ain't gonna just sit back over here and listen to no preacher tell you what to do. You gonna be learning and doing what you need to do. You gonna be doing some progress. You gonna be doing growing over here. They know who you are, even if you don't know who they are exactly. Do you have books you can recommend and beginners trying to learn more? We have hundreds. Go over to our platform. We got so many books over there. I have so many books to recommend to you over there. You get a book with every lecture. Okay. You get so many books with lectures. We've given away some free PDFs over there on our platform. So if you want to go over there and follow us on Patreon, we've given away a few books and we have books with each lecture because I'm going to show you with your own eyes. I don't just tell you stuff for face value, no, because you need to be learning and reading. And that's a lot of our problems. We think we want somebody to read a book and then shout and tell us what it is. See, that's what get us messed up. We need to be somewhere sitting down, learning, getting your mind back together. It takes a while to program your mind to work with these unseen energies because these folks will sit up here and disconnected you from all of that. So now you got to get back. Hello, Coco Brown. You got to learn to trust your intuition because you used to following people and stuff like that. So now you got to follow a spirit. You got to learn to trust yourself. And that doesn't happen overnight. I understand. I understand it shouldn't happen overnight. Then too, you might have some healing work to do. Some of us got an ego problem. We don't like to listen to wisdom because sometimes your ancestors gonna tell you no, and you have to listen. They telling you that for a reason. You got to learn to follow guidance. Some of us uh get over here for the wrong thing and think it's about money and power. No, it's about fixing you in your life, making your life better. You can't AI everything real quick. You have to learn to sit down and connect. That is correct. I've been feeling a sense of needing to be fed with silence and more. That's them. Because the more silent, the more you hush your mouth, the louder the spirits get. You can connect with them better. Okay. I'd rather you get to a point where you don't even want to be around people. I'm get to that point now. I don't want to deal with people as less as possible. Come in, in contact with them and just be socializing with them because we ain't the same. The things you want to talk about, hey, okay, you'll get like that sometime. I've been feeling a sense of needing to be fed silence. That's so true. I had to heal first and to trust myself is so true. Yes, fake friends, jealous spirits vibrate different. Again, do the work. We're gonna break it down over there for you. You're not gonna be confused. It just ain't gonna do it does me no good to show you something and I know the experience of it, the context, the full context of it. I know that it's more than lighting a candle or creating a jar. I know that it's more than that. I know all the components to that. So and then giving it to you and you're just trying to find a solution. You don't really understand how it all works. But this is something you want to be able to practice. then I have to show you the full context of it. It does me no good to show you a little of this and little of that. Okay, I prefer home with my ancestors without TV or people. Sometimes it's like that. I become I think what happens with, especially with practitioners, you start to discover their true essence of being a spiritual being, and you start to not so much identify with being human. I think that's what's going on with me. I feel like that's what's going on with me, that I understand that I am a spirit inside this body, and a lot of people don't understand that. It just don't feel human. I'm gonna just say it like that to keep it simple. I don't feel human. Okay. I don't feel human because, again, the closer you get to the spiritual realm, again, you start to see another reality. And so you're not vibrating this third dimensional frequency anymore, that I'm just the body. And so to me, it makes it harder for me to connect with people. I feel odd. I feel odd. I'm just telling you what it is. I feel odd. It makes me harder to connect with people because I don't see myself as a person like that. I'm not connected to this shell. I see a greater reality. And a lot of people don't see that. Okay. And that'll probably happen to you too. I don't know. I was talking to the ancestors about it the other day. I feel inhuman. Like I get around other people and they be trying to jive with me, and I be like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that. I don't feel nothing going on there. For me, I don't even like to go outside among people because I feel weird. Damn saying. I be going through it. So again, and I probably need to work on that. That's probably not a good thing. I probably need to come out of that. So I'm still processing it, but I definitely can admit right now that it's what's coming up for me. Okay. And maybe because now I do feel a lot more connected when I'm in our community. Because again, these are people, this is a community that's trying to do elevation work. I feel like I'm definitely in my element when I can come here and have these discussions with my TikTok family and my YouTube family. So I definitely feel more at myself, at real me, so it doesn't feel that odd. But this is the most socializing I will do. I'm trying to find my community. Yes. And that's what I love about our community, because we have a community. We could talk about different things, and then I could talk about different things over there and be myself, and provide something that people are wanting, you know, again, passing the wisdom on that the ancestors gave to me, is as if they trying to me out, but can't, suspicious, like, what do you do think about, I look, I just stay in my own lane. I love it like that. It's peaceful. You looked at my life, you probably like, damn, she boring. Now I'm happy, I'm peaceful. And to another person that may be boring, but no, I'm happy, I'm peaceful, my spirit is at rest. Okay. Somebody else, I may not look like I got nothing going on. Good. I want it to be like that. I don't want you to be interested in what I got going on. Okay. Protection if you're just getting started. Do a lot of Epsom salt baths. Again, I can advise you of something, but this is what I want for you. I want you to ask your ancestors, just pouring libations and asking your ancestors. Stop asking people, because I'm going to point you to your ancestors every time, because that's a sort of codependency we need to break ourselves from and learn to follow spirit. We be following these people, and sometimes these people be raggedy. Okay, but I want to challenge you. You can start with something simple, just an Epsom salt bath and some vinegar. That's something basic. But moving forward, again, you start pouring those libations and calling on your most elevated ancestors for guidance and insight, because they know more than I know. Okay, these platforms make it hard because there's so many spiritualists on here. I know, baby, and I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry it's like that. And I've seen a lot of them up there, just some of the garbage that some of the things they say, I don't know. And ancestors ain't gonna judge nobody. I'm not trying to do that. I don't know if they don't know or they think hoodoo is just because what I find is a lot of people think hoodoo is just Christian. It's just got Christianity in it. No, it don't. And so when I see this, this lets me know you do not study the mysteries. There's mysteries in here that our ancestors would study. They were studying Solomonic magic. They were very aware of ceremonic magic. Uh, they were very aware of working with angels. They were, again, you're talking about people who were natural, and I know these are ugly terms you probably don't like, but I have to say them because this is how they categorize a lot of the spiritual sciences, especially the ones of our ancestors. So you have to understand some of your ancestors were natural necromancers. Okay, you got Jesus doing in the Bible. He calling to the dead, bringing up the dead, talking to the dead. I'm just gonna be real with. They doing it too in the church, but they making it Christian. But they doing necromancy every time you call on this dead, so-called dead Jesus. That's necromancy. Okay, mediumship. They trying to talk to a spirit or Holy Spirit. The same thing. That's why I have to tell them if I'm doing witchcraft, so are you, because you're doing the same thing. You just calling it by a different name. Yours no better than mine. So just let's just cut it out. I'm done with them. I mean, I've been on this journey for a long time, and I've heard it all from these Christians, and I just break it on down to them just like that. Usually they'll shut on up if you just tell them what they doing and start calling Jesus a conjure man, because that's what he was. They usually get out your face. Okay, because they doing the same thing. Now you, because you spiritually ignorant, you don't see it like that. And I apologize for that. You didn't do your work. You supposed to be studying. Study. You sitting up here listening to somebody scream at you and holler at you and tell you what you need to be doing. You never gained your own fruits of the spirit. You never ate. You never ate the word on your own. You always want somebody feeding you, but you didn't eat it on your own. You didn't study. Okay. Your good book says you perish. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. What are you doing? What are you gaining any type of insight for yourself? And that's what you're gonna see over there. Yeah, I do. I'll provide you with lectures and provide you with the book, but I can't make you eat the knowledge. You got to want to eat that for yourself, and that's what a lot of people going on. You can blame it on some of the spiritualists here, but if people would sit down and learn on their own, they won't be misled. I got people over there now right there on the platform. There's nothing I can do. I put quizzes out there to each book so everybody can familiarize themselves with. I have meetings over there with each members, with all the members, and to find out what you need. How can I support you? I do all this over there now. Um, what else did we do? We did a free tarot card workshop. All this stuff is free. It comes with the platform over there. Everything is reasonable over there. It ain't gonna break you or anything like that. Okay. I do all of that. And not a lot of people over there take advantage of those resources. I can tell you maybe 5% of the people over there take advantage of the resources and I provide them over there. So I can't really blame it on look at the practitioners. You have to look at the people as well that's making a choice to do this, because some people they want to follow, they want to learn because they want somebody to sit up and tell them something, but they don't want to put their face in a book and learn, because that's the only way the ancestors gonna start talking to you. We start reading these books when you start using your mind. But if you ain't using your mind and you let somebody always pour something into it, you got to always extract energy from somebody else. That tells you a lot about your energy. Say we go deeper with this. And see, when you start doing your ancestors' work, you start to realize what type of pathology and psychology your ancestors have. Were they the initiator? Did they get something started? Or did they need somebody pouring into them? Did they need other people? So you got to really start doing the work. We do it real over here now. I can break this all the way down. Which books are supposed to be reading coming into spirituality? Again, we have a lot of books over there in our community. Coco Brown. I provide so many resources over there. That's something I can tell you. And then we have some free ebooks that we have given away over there. But Jambalaya is a good book. Um, I just have so many to recommend. We went over the Hoodoo Bibles, um, Hoodoo Bible Magic. That's a good one. But Hoodoo is just so vast. You it's so vast. It has to be studied. You'll always be practicing. I know a practitioner got everything figured out because your magic is always evolving and advancing the longer you're on this journey. I like hearing you talk. Oh, thank you. Okay, but we got a lot of books and stuff over there. But that's one of the books, Jambalaya. I read so many. Ancestral Medicine by Daniel Four. When it comes to ancestors, I recommend that. Ancestral Healing by Stephen Farmer. Uh, Ancestral, what is it called? Healing Ancestral Karma by Stephen Farmer. Ancestral Medicine. Another book I would like, I can't get a hold to it. Been trying to get a hold to it, but what's his name? I think his name is Maladoma Somé, and he's written a great book on Yoruba and Ifa. Another book he's written, and it's really centered around the ancestor, is called Ritual. Okay, so those are books that help you out. What's another book we just did? I don't even remember the name of this author. Is it Patrice something? I'm not sure. But this book is called The Ancestors Path. And that book has a lot of prayers in there when it comes to working with ancestors. Those are the books that I recommend. Okay. We went over a lot of those books that I have recommended to you. We have all those books over there with lectures um, that I reviewed over there. All the books I recommended to you. Can't find Jambalaya. Been looking for Jambalaya. Um, so we'll at some point we'll get to jambalaya. Real and not everything is for everyone. No, not everything is for everyone. You're not everybody magic doesn't look the same. Okay. Can you say that book for ancestors again? Ancestors Path, and then Ancestral Medicine by Daniel Four. That's a whole book. I love that book. Great breakdown. We have maybe 3 or 4 good resources that covers ancestral coming in contact with ancestors, all the way around, doing rituals with your ancestors. We also went into spiritual communication to learn how to communicate with your ancestors. We leave no stone uncovered up there. The ancestors leave no stone uncovered. They guide me every step of the way. People be like, oh my God, Miss Penny, oh my gosh, this is like everything we need over here. I just the layout. It's not me, it's the ancestors. I couldn't have done it by myself. Because once you start working with these spirits, they do raise your intelligence and frequency. You're able to absorb more information. I know a lot of you say, I don't like to read. Well, I don't know what to tell you because once these spirits start working with you, they're heightening your intelligence and you start to, again, absorb information at a faster rate. You think you don't like reading, but once you start reading and they start working with you, and you start reading about these things that's happening to you in these books, oh yeah, you're gonna love to feed your mind. You feed your mind, you feed your spirit. And every time you're saying that, you don't like to feed your spirit. Most of these people are deficient, spiritually deficient that don't like feeding their spirit. That'd be the problem. A spiritual deficiency. They'll help. And you got other options. You even got reader apps. You got apps that will read books for you. You got audio books. Sometimes I put audio books in there for people. But you're gonna have to feed your mind. And if you can't not do that with your mind, if you can't feed your mind, you can't listen to an audio book, you can't, again, because what's happening here when we start doing the shadow work over there, and I have to tell people that because you don't know what's going on in your mind. We just went through a book called Hoodoo Cleansing, giving people all sorts of recipes and limpas and things to do for themselves to start cleansing their mind, their spirit. And in that book, and I had to tell people that you think you're gonna see some spirits like the exorcist coming out of people. No, you're gonna see some spirits like you see that man over there in America that's running that country. Them spirits, and that's how they operate. You got toxins in your mind too. Okay? These spirits gonna operate in these different type of pathologies, whether they are cheaters, they're thievers, they're narcissists, they sociopaths, psychopaths. These are spirits. That's how you gonna come in contact with them through some of these people. I see it all the time, and sometimes, and I've seen it all the time. I've been doing this for a long time. If anybody have always treated and came in with me, I have to treat these people again because I sound more like a therapist. But I'm gonna give you a spiritual prescription that start helping you cleanse your mind too before you leave there. A lot of it is be with your mind, baby. So you're gonna be dealing with all these people with all this kind of stuff, and they don't realize how these spirits operate in people. It operates again through your mind. These people that do these habitual things, that are criminal minded like this, that lack ethics and things like that. Okay. Okay, that's why we do the shadow work. That's why you need to be sitting there listening to these repetitive voices. Somebody told you you want nothing, and now you got that tape recorder in there. That's a spirit in there. Those spirits will try to keep you bound. That's why I tell people it is not good to do shadow work by yourself. Why do you think our ancestors were standing up in that church testifying? That testimony was a healing because once you start talking, they got to release you because the baby they try to bound bad about yourself. But honey, once you say that thing, it ain't got no power over you no more. That's why you need to speak it. And sometimes it's hard to do it. And that's why I think too another person is essential because they can help hold that pain with you, and they can be there with you to shift that into help you shift that into medicine and turn it into self-love. Because this how this work. The same thing that broke you is going to be the same thing that healed you, but you got to know how to turn it into medicine. I hope this making sense to some of you. That's how the ancestors explained it to me. And I know you hate that thing that happened to you, but that's going to be the very thing that give you the power you need in your work, and I promise you. But you got to know how to open your mouth. See, some of us don't know how to use our mouth to heal ourselves. We use our mouth to cross ourselves up and have it. It just, you got a portal in your mouth, and some of us is raggedy with our portal in our mouth. You don't know how to use it to heal and create. Okay, that's why the ancestors have us being quiet a lot because we be crossing ourselves up and don't even know we doing it. It ain't our fault. That's why I did a lot of uncrossing baths. Still have to do them. Did a lot of uncrossing baths, a lot of block busting, a lot of road opening and stuff on myself. Cause I was jacked up because my mouth was raggedy. I'm just gonna tell the truth. Didn't know when to keep it shut. Okay. Now I know how to use this thing. That's not how I know how to use it. And it took take a while because we did normalize gossiping and being in other people's business and all this sort of stuff. And ancestors had me walking away, somebody come talking to me about somebody else. The first thing I say, I don't know what happened to them, and I don't want to talk about it. What happened to them? I'm not gonna get like I don't know what happened to them. You know, there's a reason why they're acting the way they're acting, but I don't know what happened to them, and I don't want to talk about it. Something happened to them. I'm not gonna talk about that person. Something happened to them to make them act like that. Because I know something happened to me because I was crazy like that too. So again, when you start healing, your mind just kind of shifts. Okay, I needed this. I'm on board now. About to walk into my call, and I know that's right, King Jaron. Okay. So again, you have to start asking what happened. The compassion and stuff comes in because when you got to heal yourself and have compassion and self forgiveness for yourself, you start to have it for everybody else because everybody else is you. Did you hear me? Everybody else is you in a sense. We all share the same consciousness. We are all drawn from the same consciousness. Okay, that's why you can't really say, well, if I with them, I wouldn't have did it like that. You don't know what you'll do because you don't know. You weren't put in this situation. You don't know what happened to them to make them do that. Okay. So again, you cannot have hoodoo without ancestral veneration. I'm gonna put that in your face. I don't care. You can get mad at me. I do apologize that no one told you this, and that it's been a little bit misleading, showing you things and not telling you about the ancestors. But that's the only way thing gonna jump off. That's the only power in your work. That's the only way it's gonna work. Okay, this is why you go on Yoruba and Ifa, they're gonna talk about the Egungun. Okay, they're gonna talk about them ancestral spirits before they begin any ceremony and get anything popped off. They're gonna go to those Egungun first, the holy ancestors. They're gonna go there first. It's always been that way. Get that through your head. Ain't gonna be no other way. No, it ain't no initiation in hoodoo, but you gonna understand these concepts over here. Just because it ain't no initiation, don't mean it ain't no prerequisites and things you got to follow over here. Now you would be sadly mistaken if you did that with any spiritual science. And see, that's be the problem. You understand how stuff work. You think you jump over here and just start touching stuff. No, that don't go like that over here either. No. I just said you can again start pouring libations. Go out to a tree, go outside, start talking to your ancestors. Your most elevated, beloved ancestors, start pouring libations. That's the most simplest thing that you can do is pour a drink, offer coffee, and to your ancestor. It is the most simplest thing. But don't think you're gonna do that one time and you get over here in hoodoo and you think you finna work a whole bunch of magic. I don't understand that either. And you don't want to talk to your ancestors. You before you start picking up stuff, you supposed to be asking them, "Hey, is it clear for me to do this work? How does this look for me to do this work? What do I need to do? Is this what I need?" That's how that's supposed to go. I don't care what these folks showing you. That's why I don't get over there and start showing you spells. I would not. I would give you the book so you can follow your ancestors to craft your own spells. Because that's what needs to happen. Nobody needs to be showing you. You don't need to be following nobody. You need to be following your ancestors, period. Listen to your own intuition because you got it. Your ancestors didn't make no junk. So stop acting like they did. Your ancestors didn't create no stupids, no fools. So stop acting like they did. Okay, I'm gonna point you right over there to that. Okay, I know that's right, melanated law. So they didn't make no joke. If you had your ancestors tell you, we want some liquor. If that just come across you, then go get the liquor. But then I have people say, my ancestors told me clearly to go get them some liquor, and I got them some liquor, and I poured it. I couldn't believe they told me that. Miss Penny, am I making this up? No, you're not making it up. So stop thinking that. If that's what they told you, that's what they told you, and I'm gonna tell you just like that. So stop questioning that. You didn't have that thought no other time, did you? No. Well, okay then. We're gonna stop going back and forth with that. You're gonna stop doubting what's going on with you. Because that's what needs to happen. The mentorship supposed to be helping you trust in your intuition, knowing that your ancestors is there. I wish somebody did that for me. But I couldn't do nothing but follow spirit. But I thank God for my ancestors, cause honey, that was lead me right, y'all. That's why I gotta tell you that they lead you right. And I ain't had nobody lead me, but honey, when I got it in my mind that I was gonna follow my ancestors, then lead me wrong not one step of the way. I can't believe it, and I'm sitting here telling you that. That's why I don't trust folks. I got more faith in the spirit than I do a person. Cause some people I have ulterior motives. And don't get over here with these no fluff with these spirits thinking you're gonna be over there and fake and connive and deceive. You cannot connive, deceive, and manipulate a spirit. It is impossible. Not these beloved and elevated ancestors. You're working with elevated spirits over here on a higher frequency. So if you vibrating on that funky stuff, I don't know what kind of spirit you gonna attract to yourself. Okay, so you can't fool these spirits. So don't get over here and thinking you can, cause you can't. That's why a lot of y'all run back over to Christianity because they do a whole bunch of deceiving, manipulating, and all that kind of stuff. Don't know about. They like some people like darkness. They don't want no light. They don't like light. They love darkness. They love being ignorant to that. They love worshiping people. They love that. They love that. Okay, they love a little abuse. I know as sad as it sounds. It don't sound like you think to yourself, no, but nobody wants that, Miss Penny. Yes, it is. They'll run from one practitioner to another, thinking that they're gonna be able to tap into that practitioner magic, not knowing that it does not work like that. You got to get it for yourself. The magic is not in people; it's within you. Stop trying to get something from somebody else and get your own. If you're not, Coco Brown again. What you doing? Are you consistent? Consistency is all the time with ancestors. You ain't consistent at that altar. You ain't consistent talking to them. You ain't consistent in developing a relationship with them, and again integrating them into your everyday life. Now you ain't gonna hear them that much because you done gave them the sign you don't want to talk to them that much. Now you don't play with them like that. You don't be sometime with them. It's the same social structure exists. You got them sometime in families they come around sometime they don't. If you want them family members that you're gonna treat them like that, they're gonna treat you like that. But if you're consistent with them and you're talking to them daily, asking for their guidance, reading Psalms to them, spending time at the altar, you're gonna see more consistency of them talking to you. That's why I tell people, and usually when people telling me that somebody gave you a mistake, you only talk to them once or twice a year. You are sadly mistaken if you think you're gonna pick up hoodoo and only talk to your ancestors once or twice a year. What is wrong with you? These are spirit guides. These are spirit guides, okay? Just like the young lady said to me, at some point you just gonna have to evolve and not talk to our ancestors and grow up. I'm like, you will never grow up compared to the ancestors. But it seemed like to me when I hear people saying this, they're only talking about their family members. No, you got to get that out your head. I know how people tell you. Matter of fact, when you get over there, I want you to take all that stuff off your altar. That's probably what's confusing you. Because if them people passed away like that and they had trauma on top of them and they had all types of atrocities committed against them, all they lived in poverty, they was being oppressed. Get them people off that altar. Let them people rest. Call on your most elevated ancestors. Then go back and look at different family members and look at the ones who were more elevated and make a choice and talk to them and put them on the altar. But everybody, all these family members don't need to be up there. And we need to reach out to the most healthiest one first. That's why we are calling on our most elevated, beloved ancestors. We don't have to know their name. Their names was lost into history, into time. That's perfectly fine, but they know you. That don't even matter. They've been walking with you and you didn't know it in the first place. Okay? So that don't matter. If you think that matter, that doesn't matter. I have to tell people that because I'm about to write all the names of your ancestors. No, I know they trying to help you, but again, we don't do that. Again, because we first before after we do the shadow work, then we'll go back and look at these ancestors and look at the ones who are more healthiest and then put them on the altar. But for right now, we're talking to the most holiest of ancestors, that most elevated ancestors. That is it. That is it. And then after we do the shadow work, because you're gonna find out when you start doing the shadow work, your family is the first place where your heart was broken. Those was your first relationships. You're gonna really start to break down the trauma, the family pathology, who was really supportive of you, who really wasn't. You're gonna be able to, because everybody don't, all your family members don't like you. Let's just be true. Let's just keep it real. They don't. Okay, right? Now later on, as you move on, you'll probably put more family members on there if they start coming to you wanting to work with you. As your mediumship and psychic abilities get stronger with communicating with ancestors, they might come to you. I don't work with any of my ancestors, for instance. I don't work with my mother. I don't work with my aunt. I don't work with them. But yet they came in my dream. I know they are right because they came in my dream. They haven't ever come to me and say, I want to work with you. I want to help you. So now I'm not putting them on the altar, but I know they are right on the other side because when they crossed over, they came in my dreams. Okay. I know they are right. I ain't got nothing against them or nothing like that. Them folks was sick. And I leave them in the light with the most elevated ancestors to help them on their spiritual progression and evolution. That's what they need. You just pray for those family members, for the elevated ancestors to embrace them into the light because they need that. That helps elevate your the line. That's what you're doing there. When you calling on the elevated ancestors, you're giving them permission and requesting for them to work on the lineage and help you heal. All of that takes place when you start doing this work. But see, you don't know that because ain't nobody putting shadow work with ancestors work, the good character work. They ain't putting that because that's what shadow work is, good character work. Because now you working with the most elevated ancestors, and they don't work with junk and lower frequencies. Now, if you want to work with lower frequency and you want to do dog stuff, then you go ahead and put them family members up there because you got some family members too that was just deceitful, manipulative, and all that. You can go ahead and deal with those lower vibrations if you want to, but know at the end of that you are communicating with them telepathically, and it's gonna erode. It's gonna erode your mind and your spirit at some point. I'm just telling you, you're gonna be just like them. I'm just telling. I'm just keeping it real with you. Okay. I know y'all don't look at it like that because y'all don't study these sciences like that. That's why I put it back. I put it right in your face so you don't get twisted and go out here and say, "Well, I didn't know what I was doing." No, you telling a story that you didn't know what you was doing because we covered all this. We covered all. You know exactly what you're doing. If you want to be confused, it's because you choose to do that. You have to be responsible. Have to take the responsibility over here because you get the power put in your hand. Now it's up to you to know how to use it. Know when to open your mouth. Know when to set up your table and get some work going. And in fact, when you get over here with your ancestors, you probably won't be doing a whole bunch of work you need, like you say you're doing. That's why I'm not seeing people doing a lot of these hexing and stuff. Why are you doing that? Because if you was on the right side of things, you won't have to put nobody in no pot. You won't have to do nothing. All you gotta do is go talk to your ancestors, and they will kindly give you directions on how to resolve that. If you can't resolve it, they'll lead you on the work to do. And a lot of it don't be a lot of hexing. It be a lot of getting people the hell away from you. Just getting out your way. That's really what we want. We just really want people to get out our way. Okay? I'm just telling you the truth. Being responsible here. And that everybody ain't out of you. Some people think too, they put a hex on me. No, you won't get in alignment with what you want. And that's why your life feel raggedy. Ain't nobody put no hex on you. Ain't nobody did nothing to you. Ain't nobody curse you. No spirits that told you need to do this, you need to do that to get this done. Ain't no Everybody's not that important for somebody to be putting something on them. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. And so when I see people saying this and they are determined to be hexed and they didn't put in the work, then I have to go in and do a reading. And most time what I see here is these people living in illusion or delusion. They convince themselves that they are right. And most of them, you know, they don't want to look at the mess that they're in. So they have to tell themselves a story, a delusion, or something like that. And here I am, got to go in. You have people like that. They don't want to look at the mess. But I have to point it out. This is what's going on. Yeah, you've been doing this and that, but you ain't been changing this in your life. The bath, the candles, and none of that. If your mind is not in alignment, because your mind is the one that's shifting this. And if you can't see yourself like that and you steady gonna do that, then you're not gonna make progress. And I feel like if you are doing your work, you shouldn't be worried about being Hicks. Exactly. Because I feel the same way too, Chosen says too. Because again, you keeping yourself cleansed every day. You should already be doing some type of sun work, protection work when you wake up during the week. You should automatically be doing some type of protection work, saying some prayers, some protections around yourself. You should already have some type of spiritual soap or bath that you're doing in between your major spiritual baths that you do. You should have some type of Florida water soap, something. It should already be integrated into. If you're messing with hoodoo and magic, like you should already have integrated something like that into your everyday life. Your spiritual hygiene should be already in there. This shouldn't see if you true to this, you gonna already anybody have to tell you you're gonna be buying soaps and stuff like that to keep you clean. Every time I come from outside, I go to a store here and here I come right back home and jump in that shower and wash myself down. I already got a spiritual soap. Whatever's out there, I don't know what was out there, but I'm coming home and I'm gonna take me a shower with this stuff and get whatever's with. I don't want to know me. And I might say the 23rd Psalms while I wash myself in the shower. Yeah, okay. Or I might play some gospel music or gospel music while I'm in the shower and sing some gospel music again, picturing all this stuff coming off of me. Again, it's all about consciousness, being conscious of that. Got to be conscious. You can't be out here in these spiritual because that's what it's all about. Okay. That's like every time I go to my ancestors' altar, I got to spray before I go to my ancestors' water. I got a cleanser I put on me. I put on my hands. I put it around my neck, around my head. Just a little short cleansing when I go to the altar. I already should be set up because if you're going to this altar, you already know how to approach it. Either I'm going to spray some vodka, some rum over that altar. I'm gonna take that spray bottle. It might have camphor in there. It might have Florida. Well, no telling what it might have in there. It's gonna be a spiritual cleanser though, because I'm gonna put some on my hands. I'm put some around my neck, on my head, and then I'm gonna start working with the ancestors. Pick up my tarot cards again. Again, if you have integrated a spirituality, hoodoo into your everyday life, you should will be automatically doing this when you approach your altar. It's magic potions in here. Masters of potions. Hey, masters of potions. Hey, I hope you're still in here. Okay. Most definitely have my spiritual hygiene. Most important. That's the first thing we're gonna teach you. That's the only thing you should be focused on in your first hoodoo journey. Is learning how to cleanse yourself, how to get yourself together. Because some of us is in spiritual disarray. Our energy is all jacked up. I know mine was. I cried so bad. I said, "Oh my God, I'm just raggedy over here." And said, "Yeah, I know you raggedy, baby. We're gonna fix you right on up." Okay, they're gonna fix you up. You get your mind together, get your mouth together, you get all that stuff together. Stay out of gossip, stay out of all that stuff. 'Cause that's what too much gossip. We be around some sticky, nasty people. Ancestors told us stay away from them people, but now you want to take yourself over there and try to be like the crowd. You ain't like them. Get away from there. The ancestors already told you that you ain't like them. Stop trying to fit in with these people. You are not like them. That's the problem. That is the problem. Your ancestors probably told you to stay away from them people now, but here you go. I want to be like everybody else. Everybody else doing it. You ain't everybody else. Just because everybody else doing it don't make it right. And that's be a lot of our problem. And when ancestors start working with you, these spirits start working with you, they start pulling you from people and telling you to sit down somewhere. Be quiet. And then there you go. I ain't got no friends. Then you didn't have none in the beginning. What are you talking about? You had trauma bonds. You ain't had no damn friends. What are you talking about? You had none in the beginning. What are you saying? That's what we're trying to get you to realize. Okay, some of y'all just need to be sitting down being quiet listening, and you don't want to do that. You want to be have all these friends, and some of these people got stuff stuck to them, and they bringing you into their stuff. Now you feeling heavy, depressed, and all this stuff. You think somebody got a hex on you? No, it's probably where you at. It's probably your environment, the things you doing, you participating in. The ancestors probably told you, and you want to do it your way. 'Cause some of us young folks, we think we know everything, and I'm gonna tell you just like that, you don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing beyond my answer. I don't. And I would tell them this. They had to get me right. They was like, we tired of you. When we tell you to do something, we want you to do it. You understand me? You don't know nothing. You think you know something, but you don't. I don't care what you done read. You come to us for help. Okay? And you one told you to read that. So we know more than you. So what are you talking about? I said, you right. I had to shut up, learn to be quiet. You got to be like that sometimes. I've been wanting to go to my altar and do something like what these other folks do, go to Hicks and the ancestors. You better not do that. We didn't tell you to do that. We didn't tell you to go Hicks nobody, do nothing, put nobody in power. What's wrong with you? Them people need to be prayed for. Them people got this stuff going on with them. Them people got a horrible life. If you're going to build some good character right now, now it's time to build it. Get out yourself and your ego and pray for them folks. Sometimes your ancestors will tell you to do that, and you're going to have to do it. Get out your ego. Some people need prayer. That's what you're supposed to be getting in here for. Some people need some light in their life. And just that prayer, your prayer gives them a breakthrough. That's your work. You hear me? And see, y'all ain't ready to do that. You ain't ready to do big folk stuff, because see that's gonna grow you in the spirit. That's gonna rank you in the spirit realm. You understand me? I don't care what these people run around talking about. I'm a priestess this and I'm a mambo this. I don't care about that. The way the ancestors explained to me, that title don't cross over to the spiritual realm. It does not. Your works with the spirit cross over there, makes you high ranking. You can have the poorest person, the most humbly looking person over there. You think they ain't nothing in this world. But you talk to the spirit realm, baby, they high ranking. They like the president over there. Do you hear me? So these titles don't cross over. They may be the president or senator or whatever, but when over there, honey, they're gonna be living in shacks. They don't cross over. You better get your. You bet this ain't where it is. This world is very temporary. It wouldn't even exist without the spiritual realm. You got to get that other reality in your head too, because you got a lot of people these spirits saying, well, if they ain't abundant, they ain't prosperous. Again, you living in the 3D reality, because that don't have nothing to do with spirit. Can you obey the spirit? When you open your mouth, then them spirits move for you. I don't care how much money you got. You ain't yourself ain't you ain't right with them spirits. They ain't moving, doing nothing with you. How you ranking with them spirits though? Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. You understand me? You got to question some of these people sometime. You supposed to be here uh again serving your community, being an asset to your community, not draining your community, not taking advantage of your community. You supposed to be providing some type of insight. And again, follow your ancestors, not these people. And even when you get over there with me, I don't want you looking at me. I am just a messenger. That is what I am. I am nothing beyond that. I am a messenger of the ancestors. I do the service of ancestors. I follow the spirit. And that is exactly where I'm going to point you. That's exactly where I'm going to point you. Point you right to your ancestors, because that's what you need to get familiar with. I think her name was Miss Ida something. I forgot her. It's Ida something. Okay, and we just did another did another one on psychic cleansing, another cleansing book as well. I can't even remember the name of those because sometimes I'll repeat a topic sometime with a different book to help people understand. Because I don't know how everybody learn differently. So sometimes I talk about a subject in a different way with a different book sometimes. And maybe that may help somebody. So I use a variety of, I'll go over subject a variety of times sometimes. Okay, so then you see in voodoo, again, let's look at voodoo. Again, we looking at our spiritual sciences. Who is in head of that? The ancestors. Before they even evoke a law, they call on the ancestors, and then you start to look at how they create, or because you start looking at the laws. We talked about that. I and Masters of Potion talked about that. You start looking at voodoo, Hinduism, it start looking the same. It's crazy when you start looking at that. You be like, oh my God, what's happening here? But you look at voodoo again; these are ancestral spirits. When you look at some of these laws, it is ancestral. When you're looking at Ifa and some of this, again, a lot of it's ancestral. These are ancestral spiritual practices. And a lot of them still have some of those ancestral traditions. And then we come to Lakumi again, Lakumi again. They always talk to the ancestors. No matter where we was, where it started, we always put the ancestors ahead. We even take you into the comedic sciences. In comedic sciences, they understood this as well. Okay, I'm breaking it all the way down to you. In Palo, same thing. Okay, same thing. We go right talk to them ancestors again. You ain't gonna get away from them. So I don't know why you try to run away from something, because you're gonna find them too when you start working with nature. You start picking up candles and you start picking up herbs and stuff. Again, you coming in contact with more ancestors. You're gonna work with a spirit over here. Can't get away from them. Get that and put that in your mind right now. Yeah, you seeing that candle and all that. That's a spirit. The fire on that candle is a spirit. I just broke this down. The spirits that are associated with these elements. Our ancestors understood this. That's why they was opening their mouth and they was conjuring. They was talking to these spirits, letting them know how they want this work to move. Okay, look at 21 divisions. We just gonna which we're gonna go into 21 divisions, because we look at all the African spiritual systems among diaspora, because they belong to our ancestors, and it helps us understand how a lot of these rituals and things got into hoodoo. Everything is spirit. You are sure right. Missy Boost TV. You cannot get away from that. You need to understand you ain't even a person. So get that out. That's the problem, because you think this physical reality is real, but it ain't. It ain't. It's fake. It ain't real. If it wasn't for the spiritual realm, the physical realm, you wouldn't even be here. It matter what goes on the inside of your head and the end of your eye. That's more real than what you seeing with these fake eyes, because you seeing illusions and reflections of light that make it look like a third dimensional dense reality to you, but it's not. It's changeable. It can shift. That's what hoodoo is all about, showing you how this can shift, how you can go in the spiritual realm and shift this with your consciousness. That's what they call. That's their name over there. Master of Potions said, yes, they name. That's their name over here on TikTok. My TikTok family. That's her name. They name over here. Okay, you a spirit. Get that out your head. And see, once you get in your mind, you start talking to these spirits. And I think that's too. Too. I don't know if other people like that. I think that too. When you start getting in your mind and start talking to these spirits, you start to see, well, damn, I'm not even this body. Hell no, you're not. Your spirit start telepathically communicate with you. You start getting real. You start to understand really how this works. Well, that was their name, Masters of Potion. Okay, so you're not gonna understand that, because you still think you're a person. That's is the problem. They convince you of that. But you don't know, you in a restricted. To me, it's feeling more like a jail the more I contact the spirit world. Okay, the more this body feel more like a jail, because again, it's only reflections of light. But once you start going in the astral realm, that's when you start to shift things. That's when you start learning how to shift things into this reality and change your experiences. It's hoodoo, clothes, mixed people. I'm Mexican black, also my ancestry from the south. I'm like that you come in here, Johnny, and said that. I'm glad because we're getting ready. Now, one thing about hoodoo, and I know a lot of people that this is not gonna be popular, so I'm gonna say some things to y'all. Y'all gonna look at me and be like, "What the hell?" I'm finna go what the hell moment on you. So brace yourself when I say this. I'm glad Johnny came in here and said this because it's gonna be a what the hell moment. We have to look at Mexican magic. Because when we're looking at Mexican magic, we're looking at our most indigenous ancestors. Remember, them people was in they from Indian. Them people was Indian for them Spaniards came in there and made them Mexican. We have to look at that magic because when we're looking at their magic, we're looking at the most indigenous spiritual practices of our ancestors. In fact, they set the tone to working with saints. We have to look at that. Them old Mex was there first. We had an invasion. And them people just not starting to put together that they Indian. The Mexicans, some of the Mexicans realizing that they the Indians and that they were invaded by Spaniards, just like we waking up to hell, we got invaded and these people on our land. Same thing happened. This stuff happened to us. So we have to look at all this. Okay. That's why I have to show you. We have to look at Mexican magic. Okay, we got to look at Puerto Rican magic. We got to look at Caribbean magic. We got to look at that because those are our ancestors. No matter where they was, they took this spiritual science with them. So we have to look at it. And I know they not telling you this because they sticking you to this Bible. But when we start showing you this, you be like, dang, that's why we got this in hoodoo. It gives you more clarity of why we do things and how it got into hoodoo. See, our ancestors, and then you see how smart your ancestors was, honey. They were so smart. These people were spiritual geniuses. You can't get it wrong when you follow them. I promise you can't. They got me looking at books I ain't even think had nothing to do with me. I was just telling Master Potions today. We was talking about that. They had me looking at chaos magic. I said, ancestors, that don't have nothing to do with us. I'm not looking at that because that stuff sound crazy. Like somebody made that stuff up. That don't belong to us. Ancestors said, yes, it do. It absolutely belong to you. Open up that book and look at that book. I started looking at that book. I said, this is hoodoo. These people's doing. They didn't call and I was out of. I couldn't even have the words couldn't even come out of my mouth right. I said the way they change stuff and call it something else, but it be our stuff. You understand me? I can't open up a folk magic book or a Wicca book without them talking about hoodoo and ancient Egypt. Can't do it because everything come from your ancestors. You got to study, beloved. Now, I'm going to show it to you. I don't want to just talk to you about it because a lot of people, they think, I'm a nerd at this. I've been studying this a long time. Just wake up and do this, okay? And so that's why I love showing you the book, going right and give it to you so you can see it with your own big, beautiful eyes. I don't make this stuff up, okay? The ancestors set me down and explain things to me. I've had to be in isolation for a very long time for them to teach me this, okay? So I wouldn't tell you nothing wrong. Ain't gonna do me no good. I ain't gonna get in trouble with my ancestors trying to tell you, no, I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm not getting them. I'm not falling out with these spirits because I'm not doing it. I'm just not gonna do it. That ain't gonna help me. Okay. What platform will I go to join your community? We're on Patreon. Hey, Deborah B. Hey, sweetie. I was watching Bobby Hemmy talk about chaos magic early this morning, and I thought about you. I'm telling you, it's hoodoo. Them people that took that, and that is straight hoodoo. Okay, because see what happens now, I'm finna get nerdy, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get nerdy right now with you guys. What happens is you have these these people in these lodges, they take this ancient Kemetic science, spiritual science, and they try to intellectualize it and water it down. I think they try to, because they try to take the paganism. I'm saying this nicely. Shit. I'm trying to say it nice as I can, y'all, okay? It call itself taking the paganism and the divine feminine out of it and water it down to fit them. That's what goes on in the occult sciences. This is what they're doing. They come up with all these bastardized rituals. And again, taking this spiritual technology and watering it down, bastardizing it, blaspheming it, because that's what I call it. Because anytime you take it like that and start doing regular stuff with it and doing witchcraft with it, use it for evil, that's what you're doing. And so they do it like that. And so it really makes it hard. And I think because too, when I was reading Manly P. Powell book, I said, y'all got to go through all this to learn this, because this wasn't this wasn't for you in the first place. Y'all got to go through all this because it was negative. Because see, when you stealing something, it take you a while to understand what you're stealing. Okay, and so you can clearly see that there. And so you see them water it down, and then especially when you go into Kabbalah, when you start to understand the tree of life and how all of this moving up this tree of ladder, these men have created this so they can communicate with the divine feminine. Sophia. Always lead back to a woman God every time. It's just like you can just go. You see the peach tree right there, but instead of just going right up to the peach tree getting the peach, you rather go through all the bushes and the maze to get to the peach tree. This is what's going on here. Okay, and so it's also, when I look at this too in Jewish mysticism and the Kabbalah, this is the initiation process that they have to go to connect with the original cosmic being, the great mother. They have to. They're not going to be whole. They're not going to experience true spiritual ecstasy, fulfillment, and wholeness until they do this. Now, they have equated this to the Christ consciousness, but the Christ consciousness was first given to the divine feminine. She is the divine consciousness. I hope I ain't going over y'all here because I can break this stuff all the way down. You can see a little bit of this too in the Song of Solomon. You look at Proverbs. Proverbs is more like they're talking about the divine feminine. You see echoes of it in that Bible, but they're not gonna outright say that because they got patriarchs trying to take over uh, a spiritual practice that's divine feminine and trying to hide it under uh, again under masculinity, which there's no such thing as that. Okay, so I can break this all the way down for you. And it can confuse some of you if you haven't just really been studying the science and things like that. I don't want to confuse you. Okay, I hope I didn't go over your head. Is that maybe one of the reasons Mexican population, predominantly Catholic, when you said they were working with saints? Yes. If you want to work with and we have to cover that over there. We're getting ready to dive into that. Okay, so I recommend that you get in there because you start looking at Mexican some of their spiritual practices. And you got these are our folks. We have indigenous spiritual practice here. You're on the America's land. You got to honor these ancestors. You got to. You got to honor the ancestors of the land first. And who's there? The indigenous ancestors. You're gonna see that in our spiritual practice. So we have to look at Mexican magic. Those are our ancestors. That's what I'm telling you. They were Indians before they were called Mexicans, before the Spaniards came up in there. I'm going by what the ancestors of the land told me. I'm not listening to these government people. Stop listening to these people because they always trying to separate stuff. And it's a shame that I have to break it down like this to get this wisdom that our ancestors left behind. I got to go look at Puerto Rican magic. We got to look at Cuban magic. We got to look at Jamaican magic. It's the same ancestors, but they in different places because of this diaspora. So we have to look at it, you guys. And it makes me, I'm sorry, it makes me upset I got to do this because they thinking, making us think we all separate. And you start looking at the ancestors, start talking, said, no, baby, we still the same damn people. We just in different places. We still the same ancestors. We probably did things a little different depending on where we was, but we the same ancestors. They don't change. And I know what people telling you. Stop listening to people. Listen to these spirits because they ain't gonna lie to you. People, again, we've been programmed with separation. Okay, and so if you want to go back and find this stuff, and you want to find the real deal, we have to look at this stuff. I can't just put you in a box. I can't put Hoodoo in a box like that because it's so much vaster than that. Our ancestors are so much bigger than that. They started civilization. So why would I even? I can't do it. Okay, you are teaching us. They've been lying about everything. This is literally what Bobby was saying and what I watched this morning. Okay, we got to read this stuff. Because you start looking at Mexican magic, you be like, oh my God, that's Hoodoo. You start to see it in there. Them your ancestors. Now, I don't know if they're aware of it. I don't know if the Mexicans are aware of it, that they got Indian ancestors. You're not even Mexican. Them people that name you after a country. You ain't that. You were Indian, you were black skinned people till them Spaniards came in there and started lighting y'all up and contaminating your bloodline just like they did us. Okay? Now they call it y'all y'all calling yourself Latino. Y'all name changing too. First they calling you Hispanics, and then they call you Latino. Y'all name changing too. So you know they are hiding your identity. Just like they did ours. Okay? And I don't know if they unpacking some of that now. I know some of them are realizing too they Tano Indians. They starting to go back to their indigenous roots. We knew this, especially when we go into Puerto Rican magic and you start looking at Abanda because they have a lot of indigenous archetypes in Abanda. They call them what, Chablos or Chablocks or something like that. And see, they go by different names too. That's why you need to be reading this stuff. Stop following these people. Okay? Listen to the land, listen to your ancestors. They ain't gonna lie to you. That's why I want this for you. And whatever the ancestors teach me, I'm gonna give it to you. Okay? I ain't gonna lie to you. All right? Whatever they tell me, I'm gonna tell you. But you gotta learn it for yourself. Okay? And I'm sorry that these people got you in the box and thinking you this Hoodoo is just with the Christian Bible. That's just a lie. Okay? Our ancestors went everywhere. They just didn't stop in America. They went, are you kidding me? Are you looking at all these spiritual systems that sprung up that belong to our ancestors? Okay? They still had this stuff in their bloodline. It doesn't go away just because they're in a different area. It just doesn't go away. People work like that because they love religion, they love separation. You hear it? It's not like this. You can't do this because you initiated. Stop it with the stuff you to learn from this colonizer. Just be quiet and sit down. Because ancestors ain't told you to say that. Ancestors ain't told you to say that. That's their religion. So just be on quiet. Just sit on down. Okay? Because if a spirit ain't told you to say nothing like that. Not the ancestors. No. That's their religion. Because again, their religion made you sick and then you created another religion. I don't know what you're doing over there. Okay, but I'm following the ancestors, and every time they come to me, and God knows I respect them because again, they do follow some of the customs of our ancestors. I do respect your practice, but don't come over here trying to get me initiated into a colonized religion because that's where y'all got that from. You have to stop that. This was always ancestral. Now you using it for capitalism. We got to stop that. Okay, not disrespecting none of them. I love the religion and all that, but hey, I think it's been abused some type of way. Okay, that's just my take on it. And don't try to be pulling people over there in initiation. If their ancestors ain't told them to come over there, leave them people alone. Matter of fact, just do a divination on them and see if this is what their ancestors want for them. Because sometimes your ancestors don't want that for you. They don't want you over there like that. They probably don't want you in their religion for their own, reasons. I don't know. That's not what I wanted for myself. But that still don't stop my flow. Okay, because I again, in Hoodoo, we still can work with these spirits if we follow our ancestors. Because why? It's all of my ancestral center, and I can't tell you that your ancestors ain't gonna have no Orisha pulling up on you. I can't tell you that your ancestors not gonna have you working with the Orisha for some reason. I can't tell you that because when you start following your ancestors, your spiritual path become limitless. See, that's what people don't want to tell you. You get yourself in the religion over there, you're gonna get stuck because they're gonna bind you back. You got gatekeepers and stuff up there with your ancestors. No, it don't work like that. If you want to know something, they'll start lining it up for you. That's why I tell them when they come over here and try to get me over there. I say, I follow my ancestors. You don't want to be in Ifa? No, 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 no. I love my ancestors. I love what I like this. I like this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. If the ancestors wanted me to do that, they'd have led me to you. That's not what they wanted me to do. And usually when you tell them that they get on, they know what it is because they know the ancestors is real. You know what I'm saying? They already know it's real. So now I got to ask why y'all keep initiating these people like this, not doing no ancestor reading on them. How do I follow my ancestors? I want to connect, but I'm not unsure. Again, start pouring libations, get your divination started, doing automatic writing, but again, be consistent in pouring libations, go to a tree, start talking to them. That's simple. It's really that simple. It's only people that make it hard. Ancestral veneration is hard, not hard. People make ancestral veneration hard, but it's not hard. And when I see people, constantly keep asking me this, or they're over there and they keep asking me the same question, and we have broken this down to a science. To me, what you're telling me and I see people telling me this, and you're in our community, and I done broke this down to you. We have went over the everything. We've left no stone uncovered when it comes to ancestral veneration and spiritual communication. We have left no stone uncovered. So when you're coming to me, you telling me you still have a problem talking with your ancestors, that lets me know you're not doing the work. You ain't getting nowhere sitting down. You think it's supposed to be like Hollywood, like you supposed to see ghosts floating in the air and all that stuff, and it ain't like that. The only way they ain't talking to you because you ain't sitting your butt down listening to them, or you ain't doing what they want you to do. Yep, you can pour libations into a plant or a tree. Yeah, you can do it that way too. As a matter of fact, that when I used to have a plant by my altar to pour my libations into that plant that connect me with my ancestors. Any way any way you want to do it, okay? But you need to be talking to them. Consistency. You want a better relationship. You want a stronger relationship with your ancestors. Consistency. Don't be sometiming with them and then want them to be consistent with you. You want them to show up for you all the time, but you're gonna be sometime with them. No, it don't work like that. And they ain't your slave. They don't just do stuff for you. Don't go there just asking them for stuff. You need to be going there talking about how regular your life is and how you want to fix it. Talking about what's going on with you. Don't be going there asking them folks for nothing. You ain't talked to them folks in a long time. You need to be telling them what's going on with you, how raggedy you is, and what you need help with, and to please strengthen you. You want to do better, and you want to try to heal yourself, and that type of stuff need to be coming out your mouth. Okay? Not sitting up there, ain't your slave. They don't work for you like that. Now, when you develop the relationship with them and they see that they look at your heart and see it's good, then they'll start working with you. But you, honey, don't go there like that, okay? Do they talk to us like you talking to us? Or are they the thoughts in our head? It'd be a lot of thoughts in your head, baby. Okay? It's gonna be thoughts in your head. Thoughts that you didn't even think of. You know it ain't your voice, it be them. Okay? I stand in my backyard, grounded, barefoot in my lawn, white candles lit Frankincense, resin burning. Yes. It's a good way to start connecting with your ancestors. It's really that easy, you guys. And I think the most important thing is getting you support and encouraging you that you are talking to your ancestors. That is the thing. And so I see that being an issue over there in our community. So I have to constantly reassure practitioners you're talking to your ancestors. So stop trying to doubt it. That's the word again. That again, we need you get you working again and doing your affirmations and reaffirming your power that you can do this, and this is some of the talent and gifts your ancestors left with you. You are a natural medium. Your ancestors perfected necromancy. Take it in. It's what it is. You know how to talk to your dead ancestors. Get that in your head. They try to make it sound spooky, but every time they talk about transpossession and talking about ancestors, they got to talk about you. Matter of fact, when we look at Pascal Randolph, the spiritualism movement wouldn't have happened without that black man. Why? Because again, he had the byproduct of talking to his ancestors. He already knew how to talk to spirits because it was his ancestral lineage. Now, a lot of the people like to contribute him to sex magic. I'm not so impressed with that. Now I got to cover that since I know this ancestors perfected that. I didn't think that was a thing I would have to cover, but now I got to cover that over there at some point. So I'm trying to see how I'm gonna cover that type of magic. But looking at him and looking at his contribution that he gave to the occult, they let you know what it is right now. Aleister Crowley, none of them would have had the momentum they had without coming in contact with Pascal Randolph. I just had to break that down and look at it. Now I don't like that he was in the lodge and he was in the Mason. I don't like that, but I can't take away the fact that this man, he was our ancestors that was definitely spiritually enlightened and talented. And he was a forerunner when it comes to the occult sciences. Yep, they tried to erase him. He was a black man. And he was mixed with something. He was indigenous, and because you looked at him, he could go for passing. But you can see the black features in him, but he can go for pat. It can kind of give you that Clark Gable look. And you remember him? He was a black man in Hollywood that was passing, but he got all these. Yeah, he created the first Rosicrucian Lodge in America. Yeah, I was looking through his stuff. He was definitely was a major contributor. When it comes to the Europe, what the Western these Western men perfecting these lodges in occultism. He definitely did that. Big contribution. They would have known how to do seances or anything like that if it wasn't for him because he started doing that first here. I don't think but you know what massive of potions why I could have missed him. Did he ever work with and maybe they wasn't in the same timeline? Because we look at spiritualism and they tried to contribute it to Alan Kurdick. You remember him? Because they tried to, but then too they mentioned Alan Kurdick when they talk about Umbanda, but Pascal Randolph is not mentioned there. And so now I look at Alan Kurdick, I have to think, did he get his that working with spiritualism from Pascal Randolph? I'm sorry, I'm just a nerd over here, and so is Masters of Potions. So uh he probably kind of she probably they probably get what I'm saying. But I'm looking at this from the because I sit down and study this. Okay, I sit down because we're practitioners. We're always learning. We're always advancing, and sometimes I go back and read something again, and I gain more insight. You'll see me go over maybe a book again. I did that a lot of times over there because the subject could come in again. I say, you know what? I'll just do this whole review again because now we have to look at this from another perspective. And that happens. That's how learning is. It's not stuck one way. I know religion got you thinking because the God they serve, honey, that God, you can't learn nothing over there. I ain't never seen nothing like that. Okay. But over here, you're constantly learning, expanding, and growing because that's how it works. Are you going to do any more guided meditations? I don't know. I got a few on the channel. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I kind of want to recommend you guys start making your own meditations because they're very powerful when you can make your own meditations. You guys, you can do it. Okay, they're even more powerful when you can hear your own voice in your head. Okay. And there's a lot of meditations materials that provide ways to, to set up your meditation, your own guided meditation. You could just record yourself on your phone, put a little music on the background or whatever, and record yourself on your phone and listen to your meditations. Okay. I prefer you do that. I think that's a good way to do that. But again, you cannot have hoodoo uh, without ancestors. I'm just gonna make that plain. So just I don't know who just spreading this rhetoric. It's just it don't make sense. And then you start looking at these ancestors, and a lot of them look like angels and stuff. Then you start questioning yourself. And I'm telling you what comes over here, and I'm not telling you what these people. I'm telling you what I experienced with these ancestors. Okay, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not, you get over here and you'll see it for yourself and it'll knock your socks off. You be like, oh my God, Miss Penny, this is happening. Can't believe it's happening. Yeah, it's happening, Captain. It's happening. Okay, that's what I want for you. I want you to see it for yourself. What's that? Yep, Kurdic is in the Brazilian occult practices like Kambanda. Okay. And see, too, Master Potion, who did he learn from? Did he learn from Pascal Randolph? Because it said Pascal Randolph, he ran into a many of the occultists and he was doing these seance sessions that they were not privy to. They didn't know anything about until he came along and start opening up these little gatherings for seance, you doing seances with them. I didn't look into that relationship between, but I heard them talk about it. I haven't looked deeper into that. But I know he had a relationship with Abraham Lincoln. He was very influential and an impressive man. And so what I like too, when you start looking at Pascal Randolph, he's a great example of how when you start coming in contact with these angels and stuff, your consciousness, your intelligence begins to grow. It again, they teach you things, they teach you speaking, they teach you things because it appears to me when I was listening to his story that Pascal was getting a lot of this knowledge because of the ceremony magic and rituals that he had with these spirits that was teaching him. He's very intelligent man, very intelligent. I'm going to get some of his books. I'm sure there's more about him that they are hiding. Yeah, I'm thinking because you know what they said, the way he had passed away because somebody unalived him. Whatever he was on to something. They wanted their hands on this spiritual science that he had just developed because they said that uh, when they found him, that his papers, it was like his room or something had been ramshacked, like they were looking for something. But I'm thinking that whatever he was into, whatever he was studying, I'm sure he made some breakthrough that they were trying to make. I don't know. I just felt like that uh, when they were talking about how he was unalived. Okay, so that's how I feel. I feel like he was again. He had opened another door to another. He had found another spiritual science that they didn't know anything about, and they wanted their hands on it because the way he was unalived and the way they say they found his room. People say it was Blavatsky that had him. I don't know. It's very interesting though because he got that's why I say stay away from them people. See, that was an ancestor need to stay away from them people. They didn't even need to know that. That's what happens, God bless his soul. But see, there's something to learn from him. You know, stay away from them people because that's why it's closed. Some stuff they don't need to know. He wasn't supposed to be over there showing them people that stuff because they not ready for that. I wish he wouldn't have never went over there and start showing them stuff, just like Techuba, start showing them how to do necromancy. That's in our instant. They don't need stop showing them stuff like that. Okay, that's why this closed over here. And see, I wish he wouldn't have never went over there because we would have had him longer. Okay, we would have understood more about him. But no, going over there trying to be no, I wish he wouldn't have never did that. Yeah, you will have to call on him because now he an ancestor. Now you will have to call and petition him and see what it work with you. But it's another one that you call too that's know about the sacred sciences. Saint Cyprian is another one. But you can definitely call on the ones that have passed over because there's people right now that work with Marie Laveau. They call on her spirit. So once they cross over, I've known people that said they work with Tupac, but they can only work with him for too long because he still had that trauma on him when he passed over. Okay, so you got ancestors like that that will work with you. Okay, you have some of these celebrities that are working with some of these ancestors that have passed over. They call on these spirits. They ain't gonna tell you that, but they do. Okay, they do. That's what they're there for. That's what they're there for. Okay, you have ancestors like that you want to work with. You probably have some that want to work with Malcolm X because he was a great speaker. You can work with those ancestors. These are nation ancestors. You start seeing them like these are our nation ancestors. They are our leaders. So yeah, you can work with them. Okay, so that's always an option. That's what I say. You got so many ancestors, and some of these ancestors they'll already adopt us and start working with us. Let's say for example, who's a good speaker here? I don't even want to use him as an example. God, not him. I'm going to use I'm going for lack of anyone I can think about right now. I'm gonna use Barack Obama. Barack Obama. Okay. So since he's on this land, you might not know that he might have Malcolm X and Martin Luther King that adopted him as ancestors. You have ancestors like that. They see what you're doing and they were in that same field and they would take you up under their wing and start watching over you. You have ancestors that are singers. Okay. Uh, let's look at Kiki Wyatt. Kiki Wyatt is a good singer. You know, she might have Etta James might be again have adopted her and looking over her. You have ancestors like that too. They just adopt you. You have ancestors guys like that too. So again, you're thinking about family members, but when you start thinking about ancestors, you're gonna have to open your mind. Okay, you got to open your mind. They say Denzel called on Malcolm X when he made the movie, and I believe Malcolm X showed up too because he had a powerful scene. It was so convincing when he played that part. Okay, so yeah, I believe that. They can call them. They will let you know. Taraja P. Henson let you know that they be channeling. They're channeling these energies, so they do a lot of channeling there. So yeah, he channeled Malcolm X. That's not the first time that he said he channeled something. He channeled something when he made that other movie too. He did some channeling. That's what you do when you're acting. You're channeling. That's why those parts too be so convincing because a lot of them are channeling spirits. You heard about that boy who played the Joker. What's his name? uh the Hefner guy. Can't remember his name, but he played the Joker, and they told him once you play that part, you have to be careful with that because that part will consume you. I think Jack Nicholson told him that because Jack Nicholson channeled that sort of energy. And what happened to him after he played that part? So they have to be, and they say too, these actors have to be careful because if they're not careful, they can stay in that character. They can channel that character so good they stay in it. The hard part of them is not knowing how to separate from it once the roll is over. Just like I said, you sure right, Messy Boost TV. You sure right. Heath Ledger, that's his. So they do be channeling. They be channeling spirits of too, and they do the same thing in music too. It's a sort of channeling. That stuff is spiritual, you guys. That's why they're able to do it so well. There are some of them are channeling. Taraji P. Henson told you, said, our chakras be wide open. She let you know that. She let you know she be channeling on there. She said, my chakras be wide open. They let you know they be sitting up there channeling. They are channeling on there. They ain't gonna tell you that that's what they doing. That's why you see they said Tupac used to go into that music studio. He would have candles and incense and all that stuff burning, have the studio dark, and he be channeling. He be writing that music and be channeling. You saw the movie Sinners. You saw it with your own big beautiful eyes. That's true. That's why when you go to your ancestor altar and you start playing that gospel music and start humming that gospel music, that instantly start drawing in. You instantly start invoking your most holiest ancestors. You instantly start shifting that draws them in. You instantly start shifting the frequency in that room. Oh, our ancestors were smart. If you know what you're doing, you got all the tools you need. You don't need nothing fancy. Okay? So again, ancestors are always first. I'm gonna always put that in your face. You talk to your folks first before you talk and go and talk to any spirit. They're gonna teach you how to talk to spirits. That's why you need to be talking to them. You don't know how spirits move. You don't know how they talk. That's why you need to be talking to them so they can teach you. Don't go running and running out to Oshun and Ogun, and don't go running out to them first before you talk to your folks, because they can probably set that up for you. They set it up for me, and Papa Legba started pulling up on me. I said, "What is happening here? I don't even. What's happening here?" But they knew that Papa Legba needed to be in my rituals. They set that up. Look, I have to tell people this. Them ancestors can do anything they want to do. So if you coming over here thinking you finna put them in the box, you are sadly mistaken. You are sadly mistaken. I've seen them move. Never seen anything like them. That's why I'm telling you this. And had I not seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't come here and tell you this. You can't, tell them what they're gonna do. Okay? And they can teach you whatever you want to know. If it's anything about magic, they're gonna set that up for you. All you gotta do is start talking to them. Tell them what you want to learn. You'll start running into books. You'll start running into people that's talking about the very thing you told them what you want. And it'll be right. They stop following folks and start talking to your folks. Okay? And you heard it right there. Cool. 9550 just said it right there in the TikTok chat. Nothing happens until the ancestors give the okay. Ain't nothing moving. Ain't nothing moving. Now you get that in your head and stop trying to follow these people and go listen to your ancestors. And that's the problem, you know. And even when you get a reading from me to talk to your ancestors doing assessment, honey, I'm gonna tell you you need to be talking to your folks every time. I don't know why people ain't saying this enough to people. Okay? They need to be right there in your face. So that's why you confuse them. Folks ain't telling you that. Got you following these folks, and folks is flawed. I don't even want you following me because I make mistakes. Follow your ancestors. What did they tell you? That's what I'm always say. What did they tell you? Did you do a read? What did it say? Well, let me do a read and see what your ancestors got to say. Let me see what comes up. Hey, African no hyphen. We doing good in here. We talking about ancestors again. Beating this in people's head. I know they getting tired and mad at me, but I don't care. I don't care. You get mad at me, ain't because I'm making up for the times that people didn't say. I'm making up for the times. I'm making up for the times that people didn't say. Got it. When do you do readings? You just get with me. Give me your email address, and we'll set up a time. I'm in a different time zone, so depending on your time zone, it's probably gonna be late evening. because I'm 12 hours ahead of most people in America, maybe 10 to 20 hours ahead of you guys. So it'll probably be late evening for you if you was to book a reading with me. It'll probably be after 6 p.m. We appreciate the wisdom and knowledge. I'm just gonna tell you, honey. Okay? You're gonna be mad at me. You're gonna be like, that woman, she just won't do it. I don't want to do it like that. I ain't gonna do it the way you wanted me to do it. I'm gonna do it the way the ancestors said you need to do it. So you're gonna be mad at me because I'm not gonna break away from that. I'm not gonna mess myself up because you want to do something different. Oh, no, 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 no. Even though Hoodoo is closed, it's hey baby, it's levels to this. Okay, we still got structure over here. We don't just get over here and start picking up stuff without asking spirit. We don't do stuff like that. Okay. So it'll probably be, yeah, I'll probably be maybe 11 hours, maybe 10 hours ahead of you. So it'll be in the late evening. Okay. So DM me if you wanting to. Again, I do the astrology readings, the hoodoo spiritual blueprint reading. I do those too. Break it on down, give you your root work so you can start really getting yourself in alignment and focusing on the work that your ancestors have for you, all the gifts and talents that you came here with. If you're interested in one of those, again, DM me your place, time, place, and date of birth, and I can get started on it and get you out an invoice. Those are $15. Now, if you want a reading, just a regular reading from me, a tarot reading, those are $35. Okay. I got an astro reading and it was so helpful, especially as a beginner. I think it's really good, Shay, for beginner. I'm glad it resonated with you. I think it's good for beginners. I wish somebody would have did that for me because you know exactly where to start from. You're not confused. You know how where you need to jump in and start doing your work, what time to do the work, the best time to do the work. So I think those are helpful as well. They've helped a lot of people. Those readings, those astro readings, they have really helped a lot of people. Okay, so again, I've beat the dead horse again. Ancestral veneration come first. Healing comes first. Okay, beloved, that comes first. I can't emphasize that to you enough. You gonna need them. Okay, so you don't do anything. And you scared of a spirit. I don't understand because you is a spirit. So I don't understand that. Yes, you helped me so much. Thank you. You're so welcome, Shay. Okay. So again, if you are interested in it, let me put this in the chat because I forget to put it in this thing, honey. I'm so sorry. Uh, just DM me and your time, your date, your place of birth, and I'll get it out with that. So those astro readings are $15, and if you want a tarot reading, they're $35. So we went up a little bit on the tarot readings and but not too much where you can't afford it. So still want you to be able to afford to take care of yourself spiritually. So it's not too outrageous. Okay. I'm beginners reading and an astrology reading, ancestors reading. Okay, that's okay. Take your time. You should have been over there with us when we was doing our tarot card workshop. I don't know if we're gonna do another one because we got a lot of good practice in. We did our tarot card workshop, and I think uh, most of the practitioners over there, I think they gained a lot of more confidence now in doing their work when they was reading each other because they were so on target. Cause see, I keep it simple for you. When you first start doing those tarot readings, you don't need to start with no big spreads that be messing people up. You need to start with short spreads. You can get a lot of answers with a 3 or 4 card spread. You can get a lot of answers like that. Okay, don't try to do no a whole bunch of big reading with these tarot like that when you first begin. Or you can just start off with a pendulum. Some people say, "Well, tarot is too much." Start off with a pendulum, a thousand rods. Yes or no questions. You're gonna have to really sit down and write out your questions and be specific. But you can keep it simple like that as well. It's just too many ways to communicate with your ancestors for you not to be talking to them. And I'm gonna cover that thoroughly. That is the goal for you even start picking up stuff. That's I recommend that for you. Because you need to know when you know get guidance from your ancestors to do certain work. Because sometimes you think you have to do some work, and that's not what they want for you. I'm telling you now. I have seen stuff I want to do and say, "Oh, that is so pretty. I'm gonna do that spell, and I'm gonna do this and do that." And I get ready to go to that altar, do it. The ancestor said, "Don't do that. That's not what we want for you. That's not what you need." I'm like, "What? But it's so pretty." They said, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." But no, you don't need to do that. You need to do this. This ain't the problem. You think that's the problem, but that's not it. You need to go do this. And then you have to have sense enough and respect enough to say, okay, get somewhere and sit down. They know you're gonna pout a little bit. That's okay. You get over there and do it. And they be right too. They ain't never been wrong. Okay? And you get your ego out the way, get your mind together, you'll be able to hear that no and get somewhere and sit down. Okay, so they had that lot. I'm telling you, it's been like that for me. You know you're doing it right. You know you're doing it right. Is when you doing a reading or you feel a no, and you take that no. Yeah, that's them talking to you. But if everything just yes, yes, yes with them, oh, you ain't listen to them because everything ain't just yes, yes, yes with the ancestors. Something they don't want you doing. You probably won't know why until later on. And you be like, that's why you told me not to do that. They be like, yeah, because we knew you was gonna get yourself messed up. And you be like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because I was getting ready to mess myself up. We know. That's why we told you not to do that. Okay. See, that tell you. But sometimes you think you need to be doing stuff and you don't need to be doing nothing. You probably need to be healing and doing a spiritual bath. You're not in alignment with it. You don't understand this. When you get over there, I'm telling you, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Okay? I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Ain't gonna do me no good to lie to you because it ain't helping you. And I don't want you to keep coming back to me, answering me, asking me for questions, asking me questions. I want you to go to that altar and ask your folks. That's what I need to get you going. Need to get you going there. Have a great night, Miss Penny. Always amazing. Thank you, Masters of Potion. Love to have in the mirror. Okay, that's good. Keep yourself. Keep your. That's good spiritual hygiene. Good spiritual hygiene. Doing that twice a week. Okay, so I'm gonna change gears here. I've talked about anybody before I change gears. Anybody got any more questions about ancestor veneration? Anybody confused about ancestor veneration at all before we shift gears? We get ready to shift gears here. Any questions about it? Do you always have to speak aloud? You need to. When you first start, you need to. Okay? Because you got a voice. They don't. They speak telepathically to you because they don't have sound. They only have consciousness. So to keep your voice separate from their voice, I would recommend you speak out loud until you get used to communicating with them. I hope that made sense. How do we know which ancestors we're talking to? Again, you're talking to your most elevated ancestors. And so when I hear you say that, we are not talking, I don't recommend talking to family members. I just don't until you connected with your elevated ancestors. Now you can ask them which one, ask them their name, but more than likely, if you're talking to most elevated ancestors, you may not know their name. They may tell you, you might not even know them. They may tell you the name. You can ask them for their name, but you may not even know them because their name got lost in time. Again, when you're working with the most elevated ancestors. Now, if you're working with a specific ancestors like we just talked about, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, or something like that, then I'm sure they'll give you an indication that you're talking to them. But you can ask them. You can ask them their name. They probably give you a symbol in your head. Again, pay attention to what flashes in your mind's eye, what comes to mind, because they talk very subtly and telepathically. And sometimes you think it's your thought, but no, it be them. We break that all the way down over there in our community. You don't understand spiritual communication and how spirits talk. Spirits talk to you telepathically. I'm going to say this again. You think it's your own thoughts and it don't be your own thoughts. I've had stuff. I be sitting up thinking about something, and all of a sudden a thought out of nowhere, like you need to get up and do this. I know it's the ancestors because I wasn't thinking about that. It didn't come from me. It just pops in my head. That's how you know spirits are talking to you. Again, Royal Goddess, with you, we're talking to the most elevated ancestors. Why would you be talking to a bad ancestors when you are just calling on the most elevated ancestors? You have the power to call on the most elevated ancestors. The only reason if a bad ancestor coming up for you, if you vibrating on their frequency and if you're working with them. That's the only time they should be coming up. Because you have been very deliberate in the ancestors that you want to talk to. Because you have said with your mouth, you're calling on your most beloved, elevated, enlightened ancestors. You said this with your mouth. You called them, you invoked them. That's who you call. They know who they are. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Now, if a bad ancestor is coming up in there, are you working with family members that were operating on a low frequency? Are you operating on a low frequency? That's the only way that would happen. I hope that answered your question. It's just that simple. It's not complicated. That's why I really don't recommend people put family members on their altar, because some of us don't really realize that our family is a mess. You got a plant, don't you? Get you a plant. Get you a plant and a bottle of water. That's really all it takes. If ain't nobody complicating that but you. Ain't nobody complicating that but you. Everybody come with the excuse why they can't talk to their ancestors. No, it's you complicating that. Because this can be simple as a plant and a bottle of water. Don't nobody got to know what you're doing with that plant. They just think you taking care of plant. Don't nobody complicate nothing but humans. We're the only people that complicate stuff. When you need to just do like Nike and just do it. When you need to just do like Nike and just do it. Humans complicate stuff. It's really that simple. You live in a private house. You go out and buy a plant. You get a bottle of water. You water that plant every day. They see you watering the plant. They don't see you talking to an ancestor. That's how ancestors did it. You know, they don't know who they're messing with. Our ancestors still had to get their work done. Them folks didn't. They thought they was looking at them. Oh, they just around there, just dancing or something. They don't know that we having a whole church service over there around that tree. See, they ain't know who they was messing with. Oh, they really having the Bible. They got the Holy Ghost and everything. They have no idea that our ancestors is mounting us. I go through this again. The Holy Spirit is unique to the black church. Didn't nobody start doing that till they start watching us doing it. They ain't know what we was doing. They know we was feeling something. So then now you got the other churches doing what we doing. Go watch them churches. They act just like us. The charismatic, they act just like us in the black church. Okay? We set the standard for that. They ain't know. They say, oh, they just worshiping God. They just, yeah, we call on our ancestors over here. Oh, they going in that circle. Yeah, we doing the ring shout. We talk to our ancestors. They didn't know what was going on. Marie Laveau was doing whole voodoo ceremonies, and them people had no idea she was doing voodoo ceremonies right there in their face. They thought it was for just entertainment. Okay? So I don't know who you think you messing with. Your ancestors did the same thing. They didn't use that as no excuse to not do what they need to do. So you can just, it ain't gonna work over here with me. Okay? So get it done. I'm the only person I'm in the family who is open to learning hoodoo. I'm excited to talk to these ancestors. Honey, them folks over there, what I found, Shay, is your family be doing hoodoo the whole time, but they don't call it that. And honey, them folks get mad at you too if you call it hoodoo. Them old folks treat you out. And you can sit them and tell them, because I've never heard anybody in my family call it hoodoo. But if you were to tell one of these older women like beyond the boomers, maybe some of the boomers that they were doing hoodoo, and they're gonna get mad at you. They're gonna get mad at you. They're gonna be like, how dare you accuse me of witchcraft? Because to them, in their mind, that's not what they're doing. But they're doing it though, and you see it, but that's not what they call it. They will get mad at you if you call it that. So, you have to be careful about what you ask them what they're doing. Ask them what they're doing and let them explain to you what they're doing. And then when they explain it, because they're going to explain it to you. You know it's hoodoo, but don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. Okay? Don't tell them that because they're going to get mad. Okay? Learn from my mistake. Learn from my mistake because they're going to get mad. Don't call them that. Don't call it that. Just say, where you learn that from? They probably going to say, the Holy Spirit told me. Well, you already know the Holy Spirit was an ancestor and told them. Okay? Holy Spirit, God showed me. You already know it's the ancestors showed them. They're going to come up with that. Okay? Just go ahead and go with it. But you already know, but you can't call it that with them because they're going to get mad. Okay? Because they calling it something else. Let them call it that. Learn from my mistake. Don't get mad, but just ask them because they're gonna be happy to share it with you. Because now you interested in the Lord, so they're gonna be happy to share it with you. Okay, so just go ahead and listen. But you know what it is. That may not be what they calling it. Go ahead and let them call it what they want to call it. But it's the same thing. Okay, but don't tell them that because you don't want them to get mad. Okay. Don't want to get mad because that's not what they call it. I don't know if they disconnected with it or our ancestor hid it so well and they were trying to protect us. They just didn't call it that. I don't know what was the reason why they don't know. But please don't run up on them and start telling them that they're doing hoodoo because they're gonna get mad. Now, the only time I tell them that is they get over here in my business and start talking about hoodoo, and then that's when I say you doing the same thing. You get somewhere and sit down, and be quiet. Now, if they come for me, yeah, I come for them back, and I let them know. But you approaching your family like that, don't come on, roll up on them and tell them they practicing hoodoo. Just ask them what they doing, okay? Because they're gonna get mad at you because they ain't call it that. Don't tell them nothing. Now, inquire if you know it's hoodoo and you know it's hoodoo and you notice them doing something. Mama, papa, auntie, where you get that from? What's that about? They're gonna be excited to learn. You want to learn about it. Listen to it because it is wisdom in it. Okay, but don't you dare call it hoodoo. Don't you dare tell them that they doing hoodoo. You just try to get some information. That's how you pick up information without getting yourself messed up. Okay. Point me in the right direction, mom. I sure won't tell them thing. Don't do it, baby. Because you still want that now because you go to telling them that they get mad and they won't share nothing with you. Because they think you're trying to accuse them of something. And they have every right of doing that because people, they oppressor did them like that. So don't do them like that. Okay. Just let them show you. And you already know what it is. Don't even tell them what it is. Okay. That some kind of way they got disconnected from it, or that's the way they protected themselves. You know, I think it was more for protection too. Because when my mama was showing me stuff and taking me to root workers, not I didn't hear not one root worker, I didn't hear not one conjure person call it that. Never heard it come out my grandma's mouth. Never heard. The only thing I heard them say, they know that stuff, or they're a healer. That's all you hear them say. They what they you didn't I didn't never hear who do a root worker come up like that. Okay, we had a healer in our community. That woman was a root worker. Now I went over there. That woman had people lined up in her house. That woman look at you and tell if you pregnant. Everybody went to her if they were sick. That woman can write prescriptions and you take it down to the pharmacy and get it filled and all that stuff. Her name was Miss Judy. Okay, she was an old midwife. Now I look at it now. I said my mom was taking me to root workers. I had no idea, but see, I don't even think my mom knew how much of an impression this was leaving on me as a young child. Yeah, I had went to Pentecostal church. My family was Pentecostal, but was really even a bigger impact on me was these root workers and conjure workers. That was leaving a bigger impact on me. And then I was having these spiritual experiences that seemed to be, resonating with the root workers and conjure workers. Because I couldn't talk about this stuff at church because they'd call me the devil. Okay. Now, did they call it that? They didn't call it that, baby. So you got to be careful how you approach them when you talk about it, because you got people in right now today doing hoodoo in church. But you tell one of the mothers of the church to do it, and then, baby, they'll rebuke you in the name of Jesus. They'll call you a devil. How dare you tell me I'm doing witchcraft? dare you tell me I'm a witch? I dare you, dare, because to them in their mind, that ain't what they doing. So don't do that with them. Okay, you gotta be. I had to learn the hard way. Okay, I had to learn the hard way because that's not what they call it. I've never heard. I had to sit down and say, my ancestor said, "Did you ever hear us call it that?" I said, "No, never heard you call it that." That's why you probably don't need to be saying that. It's your approach, baby, because you never heard your mama, your grandma, none of them said that. They never called it that. This hoodoo is a brand new term, and I think to identify the work that we were doing. Again, we got somebody on our side calling it that. I don't believe our ancestors called it that. Okay? I just don't. I think it was just too sacred of a practice for them to give it a name. But you got outside people trying to identify what they're doing. And so they're calling it that. But truly, I just never heard anyone say that, use those terms. So I think those are brand new terms. That's just my opinion. I've never heard anyone say it. I was seeing it though. I was definitely seeing it. Okay. It's just a new word to identify what our ancestors really doing, because when you look at hoodoo, hoodoo is older than what they saying. They say, oh, it was born during slavery. No, our ancestors already had this magic in them. What are you talking about? They just hid the magic under religion. No, it just wasn't born in the Americas. Are something wrong with you? This is already in them. What are you saying? The magic was going to be there without the Bible or not. It was still in them, but they just hid it under the Bible. Again, let's understand what's going on there. Okay, the magic was already there. It's older than that. Some of our ancestors was doing hoodoo without a Bible because they understood nature, which you finna jump into here in right now. Okay, they knew nature. They knew how to work with the four elements. They knew how to work with fire, air, water. They knew that these were intelligence, that these were living beings. That's why they were able to do that. That's why they're able to work with the herbs. That's why they were able to do a lot of things that they were doing, because they knew that nature was alive and that there was ashe and living energies in these spirits. Okay, you'll see that a lot to go on. They knew that nature and spirit and God was one and the same. Every mountain, again, was alive. Especially when you start looking at these mountains, you see these mountains are alive. These are real, energies. Okay. Every The air, everything, the river, everything has a consciousness, it has a purpose, and it has a guardianship. I just broke that down to you the other day when we started looking at the elements, in which in our conjure class, I did a great lecture on that and breaking that down for them. But you got these different energies of kings and queens that's over different elements, the element of water, the element of fire. And see, when you start to know the dominions and the spirits that's over these elements, again, it amplifies your magic. And see, our ancestors they were very knowledgeable about these unseen sciences and these different spirits that lived in these elements. I hope you're keeping up with me. Okay. Now, to get a greater understanding of this, and we break this down, we go into Congo cosmology, especially when you start understanding more about nature spirits. Okay. And graveyard dirt and all that. When you start, because in Congo cosmology, everything is alive. The dirt, all that. Again, it holds ancestral energy. It holds a memory. Even the trees, they hold memory, ancestral memory. Okay. Again, looking at the Nkisi tradition, because you have to look at the Nkisi. We look at the Congo. We look at how they look at animism. I'm gonna say it that way too. I can say it that way too, because animism is the same thing. Talk about animism, you're talking about nature spirits. Talk about the elements. We teach that the spirits of the land is alive. Okay, the dead dwell in, again, our ancestors dwell in earth, in roots, in natural elements, in trees. We teach this. We understood this. This is indigenous knowledge. So even when you're picking up herbs and things like that, they are your ancestors too, because some of them are older than your ancestors. These are ancestral allies. You understand what I'm telling you? That John the Conqueror, how John the Conqueror. Again, that root is an ancestral ally. The spirit of the root is an ancestral ally. You understand me? You understand what I'm telling you? That's why you don't need to just be shoving stuff in jars and stuff. You understand these herbs and stuff. You don't understand ancestral veneration. And see, a lot of these plants and elements like that, they already know your ancestors. I'm telling you, I have looked at a tree, and the tree have looked at me and said, "I see all your ancestors in you. You don't got to tell me who you is. I see all them with you right now, standing here through past, present, and future. They see, they see you. They already know you. They know your ancestors. Okay, I hope this making sense to you. I don't want you to run around here, confused. And you see it especially in tree spirits. Love tree spirits. So wise. Cedar trees, oak trees, honey. You want to be getting yourself by a tree. You need to get your energy together, get grounded. You want to talk to your ancestors. You need to be running to a tree and pouring some libations, talking to that tree. That's what you need to be doing. You need to be friends with trees. You think you need to be friends with people. Hell no, you need to be friends with these trees, with these herbs. You need some real friends. You're gonna be talking less to people and try to be making friends with these trees and spirits and animals and stuff. That's who you need to be talking to. That's what the sauce, that's what the juice said. You don't get it in no people. You need to be somewhere sitting down talking to a plant or a tree or the water. That's what you need to be doing. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you saying, damn, that sound crazy. No, what sound crazy, you keep on following people and you keep on bumping your head against stuff and you more confused. Now that sound crazy. They gonna lie to you. They got an ulterior motive. This that tree, that rock, they ain't got no ulterior motive here. They don't know nothing but to be a tree or a rock or a herb. That's all they gonna be. Then they willing to help you in your magic. That's more than what some of these people gonna help you with. And see, that's good. You got that too, King Jaron. King Jaron can go right in there and start talking to his plants, and he got a straight connection to his ancestors. Probably ain't even got to work no magic. He just got to talk to them plants and start talking about what he want to do. And for you know it, he can start shifting some things because you working with spirits. I was just talking about this the other day. We had an ancestor that knew how to conjure up, knew how to take the poisonous plant and use that plant, that spirit in that plant to do work for him. You had ancestors like that. We conjure over here. We talk to spirits. So I don't see how you gonna sit there and say you ain't. Everything you pick up is a spirit over here. The flame, the water, everything. It's not a thing that you pick up in hoodoo that ain't got a spirit that come with it. See, because they alive. Okay, that's gonna be who helping you in your work. And you had a lot of practitioners back then. Our ancestors, they grew their own herbs and stuff. This would even amplify their work because they can talk to those spirits and start using those herbs such as hydron and all that because they formed a relationship with the plant. They grew the plant, they talk to the plant. And now when they get ready to go to their altar and they get ready to harvest the plant and start to do work with it, that work gonna hit. Cause why? Because they friends with that plant and that work gonna work. It's gonna move. So you think you need to be being friends with people? No, you need to be sitting down somewhere trying to talk to nature. Get yourself together. Okay. Yeah, play that music for them plants. I'm telling you, it's gonna help you in the long run. People, I guess that's why too. I back up our people. The more you come in contact with spirit, and it's been working for me like that. The less human you gonna feel. The more odd humans are gonna be to you. That show has been working for me. Okay. When you open your mouth again, that's air magic. That's why you need to be keeping your mouth closed because your mouth is a portal, is a creator. Everything was born out of sound. And so if you want to get that chi build up and you really want to tap into the power of your sound and conjure, then you need to be keeping your mouth closed because you got to purify it again and reset your mouth and your mind and stop letting some crazy stuff come out of it all the time. Stop participating in conversations that are toxic. Start using your mouth to heal yourself and to build rather than destroy. But the more you know how to silence it and sit still, the more chi you build up in your mouth. So when you do open it, you're moving stuff, you're shifting stuff. That's how this works, you guys. I'm breaking down to you. I know you probably some of y'all that probably don't want to hear this, but I'm not here. I can't make you feel good like that. I can't tell you everything just to make you feel good because spirituality is not that. Everything is not gonna always feel good up here. Again, because self, you're reprogramming yourself. You might have days it may feel like where the hell am I at? That's normal. But it ain't all light and love either. I can't come over here and say it's all light and love and have you do a spiritual bad pass because you need to be feeling those emotions and all that because all of that is psychic information and telling you what you need to be doing, giving you insight about yourself. So it's not supposed to all feel good. If it's always love and light and all this stuff is going on, it's let me know you ignoring some stuff. You doing some bypassing going on here. You're missing information. Okay, so it's not gonna always be like that. Okay. So you might have some of you that, again, you want to work with the energy of your voice. You want to work with conjure. You got some people that they good. They can call down some spirits, baby. They can call down some power with their mouth, just with an incense in their voice. I don't know how your ancestors want you to work magic, but you definitely gonna be having to come in contact with these natural elements and know how they work and stop just picking up stuff doing it because somebody told you to do it. Okay. And it especially going on again if you're an air sign, all that plays a part in your gifts and talents that you came here with. I just did a chart for somebody and she was supposed to be her hands, her chart showed that she needed to be working with air. I think it was air or water. Okay. So when I break down your chart, it'll come up in your chart what element you're going to work better with, what herbs that you need to be working with. Sometimes that comes up in your chart when I break it down. Okay, depending on what you got going on and what your placements are. Now, again, in the air spirits that you see with air is usually going to be sylphs. And usually sylphs, they show themselves, they'll manifest themselves through clouds. I have seen them do it through because it's very subliminal. You'll miss that they're there if you're not paying attention because sometimes they can manifest themselves through the atmosphere, through smoke and things like that. And they mostly use clouds. So when you're looking at sylphs, and again, these are air spirits, and they're going to deal with your mind. Okay, especially when you get those you get those quick thoughts like that, because a lot of this is going to be moving through your mind, areas associated with your mind. But usually the most time you're going to see sylphs is that they're going to manifest themselves through some type of smoke or through the atmosphere. That's what I've seen the most. I don't think I've just did the incense. I've seen it through the incense. Okay, and then you have this fire spirits. Again, we have these, and we have some ancestors that's associated with air, because again, you see an oil. Uh, y- you seeing a little bit. I think Shango. I can put Shango up in there. Again, we have air spirits up in there. Okay, we have some of these air spirits up in our spiritual signs, and then let's just go to fire, because again, we got the petro spirits. These are fiery spirits. Okay, our ancestors worked with some of these energies. They were very aware of these sort of energies. Okay, you got Shango. I think Shango is associated with fire, if I'm not, or Ogun, again associated with fire. We have spirits in here that are associated with fire. We're very familiar that these spirits live in these elements. Some of these spirits, some of these energies. Put you on the charger here, TikTok. There we go. We're very familiar with that. So we know that this is why, again, having contact with these elements, because some of your ancestors again are associated with a lot of these elements. I hope it's making sense to you. We can go to when we start looking at water. Just talked about water the other day. Okay, we got mermaids. You can see that across all cultures. We got mermaids, we got undines, we got sirens. Okay, with fire, we got the jinn, you got the salamanders, you got all these different energies that's associated with these elements. This is why you need to know. This is why you need to connect with. You need to understand what you're picking up when you're picking it up, and what kind of work is this doing, and what spirit is associated with it. Okay, they just got you thinking, oh, this is just fire, this is just water. No, 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 no. No, no. These are they're magical, uh, spiritual science components to each of these elements. Okay, you understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why it's working for you. And so these are all the elements again that we use in our spiritual practices, because a lot of these spirits are associated with it. Our ancestors already knew that there were spirits in the springs, spirits in the rivers, spirits in the ocean, spirits in fire, spirits in the earth, spirits in the air. These natural elements helped them with their conjure. They were conjuring with these elements. We see that just by looking at the story of John the Conqueror. They knew that there was Ashe and spirits in there, so I don't know why you would even wanna, you just can't get away from it, beloved, because anytime you're doing magic, you're working with spirits. That's just the way it is. You got some people that only work with water. I got a young lady over here, she only work with mermaids. Well, she's only working with water. That's where her magic is. She work with water. She work with water spirits. You got some people that just do candle magic. They work with candles. I love candles. I love working with fire. Of course, I am a fire sign, but I also love water because I got a lot of Scorpio placements, so I can work with water as well. Start looking at things and putting things together, you start finding your talents. Jupiter opulence says exactly. Elements are very powerful. Remember, they banned sun dancing because of what was happening after they danced. See, because our ancestors used to do rain dances too, make it rain. See, we had a relationship with nature, but now they got you disconnected. I never forget my grandmother tripped me out. I thought she was playing with me, but honey, my grandma was dropping. gems on me, and I was just so boy, I was just so crazy when I was young. I was just so stupid and ignorant. Now I look back at myself and say, you didn't know nothing. You thought you knew everything. You didn't know any damn thing. I didn't know nothing, honey. And honey, she was sitting up there telling me, she said, yeah, when I was a little girl, I used to split storms. I said, what? You can't split a storm. She said, yes, you can split a storm. And I laughed. I thought it was funny. And she didn't crack a smile. I said, you serious? She said, yeah. I know how to split storms. Little did I know she was dropping gems on me. And she sat there and told me how she used to split storms. She told me, gave me directions on how you do it. I said, oh my God. Then she started dropping other indigenous knowledge idea, what she was dropping on me. But again, did she ever say hoodoo or conjure? That woman never did say hoodoo or conjure, never come out her mouth. She never said that. Okay. And even when that lady that lived near to us, I think that she was trying to put some work on my auntie because my auntie mouth was flat with that old lady. My grandma knew exactly what she was dealing with when that woman put that cross in that backyard. She looked at my auntie and said, "You better not say nothing else to that woman. You hear me? I don't care what." She looked at us kids. She said, "I don't care what that woman say. You better not talk to that woman. You better not look at that woman. I don't want you going in that woman's yard. I want you to leave that woman alone. I want you don't do nothing with that woman. Do you understand me?" My grandma never said nothing to us. But honey, she said at that time, and I said, "What's wrong, grandma? What's happening?" And she just looked at that cross in their yard. She knew what she was looking at. She didn't call it that, but she knew what she was look. She was very, I got to say, she knew what she was looking at. She wasn't dumb. Okay, she knew when something was out of place. I never heard her say hoodoo. Never heard her say voodoo. Never heard her say. Never heard them say that. But she knew what she was looking at. That woman, and that I think that woman was a country woman. Now that I go back and look at it, because that woman was always going back to that house, because she had a new house, but she kept going to this old house, and that house looked like it should have been condemned. But she had a garden at that house, and she would always be at the house. It was strange to us. We said, "Why do you keep going to this raggedy house?" Because the city had put an ordinance on it where she wasn't supposed to go in there, but she was still going to that house. She still had a garden in the back of that house. But she had a new house around the corner, but she came to that house all the time. Okay. So now that I look back at it, I said, I think that woman was a worker, and my grandma knew that woman was a worker. And that's why my grandma said that. It makes sense now that I was older, but when I was younger, when you're young, you ain't number kids, what, 8, 9? We just kids. You're not looking at stuff like that. But I think my grandma picked it up real quick. And she got us together real quick. And she usually didn't say nothing to nobody. She still pretty much stayed to herself. But when she did talk, you listen. You listen. She knew she was talking about. And my auntie didn't say nothing else to that woman. And we stayed out that woman's way. We didn't say nothing to that woman. We act like she wasn't even there, like our grandma told us to. Okay. They be knowing that she never told us what it was, but we obeyed and we didn't say anything else. Okay. So again, when you're working with these elements and we putting it all together over there, now we're getting ready to. Now we have covered all the elements, in which now we're going to go into it again. We cover each one of them individually. Now we're going in to conjure with all these elements, so you'll see exactly how they work over there. That's for my Patreon members over there. You getting ready to dive deep? I know I've been taking y'all fast. Y'all gonna get a little gentle break because they've been getting. We be get. I give you quizzes too. They're not hard quizzes. Just enough. I ask you enough questions to see do you comprehend what we have covered, what we have discussed. Because there's no sense in you getting over there. You're not learning anything. Okay. So you guys are gonna get some quizzes over there, little short quizzes, but you'll get a gentle break because we're gonna go into talking about uh some of the icons that contribute to Hoodoo for Hoodoo Heritage Month. So you'll get that for a few days to give you a gentle break and to go over some of the quizzes over the materials that we covered when it comes to elemental, when it comes to working with the elements and magic. So you're going to be questioned on that, and then we're going straight into conjuring, straight into what your ancestors was doing. We broke it down. Now we're putting it together, and that's what's going to happen over there. So I've kept you a long time over here, you guys. I know it's getting late over there. Does anyone have any questions for me? Hi, Sunkissed. Anyone have any questions for me? Because I know we covered a lot, and I try to come here and share general discussions about the things that we're covering in our community, Spiritual Roots Hoodoo community on Patreon, where we talk about all things hoodoo from top to bottom, uh, from front to back, from rooter to tutor. We cover it down, we break it down in all its aspects. We don't just show you no spells over there. We show you the whole practice, the whole science, so you can gain a solid foundation in your practice. That's what we do over there. Had I missed the beginning, that's okay. You can also go see it on the YouTube channel, Sun Kids. Go watch it on the YouTube channel. Okay, it's on YouTube too. My YouTube family here too. Okay, you can go watch it over there. So we cover and that's if you're beginners, good for you. Because we're gonna break it all the way down and we have all the way to the advanced. We have information there from the advanced on to the continue to grow. Because I'm a kind of a nerdy, I'm kind of nerdy with this. I like having open discussions. Right now we're over there trying to come up with a book review because I like to have to the practitioners. I want to know what book you want to go over. Do you want us to have a live discussion on the book? Because I like that kind of stuff. I like to see what you know and have discussions on it. So now we're looking over a book review. Who wants a book review? We can have an open discussion on it and gain more insight. This is how we learn. Okay. Nobody has it all figured out. We have an open dialogue and talk about our experiences and what we take away from the things we learn and how it's working for us. That's how we learn and grow. Okay. It's chemistry, the same name you seeing on here, chemistry. It's the same thing, baby. I think we just getting ready to go through working the roots. I think that book is over there. We got so many lectures and books and all that stuff over. It's just so many resources. The only way you don't know nothing is because you choose not to open nothing and look at nothing and read nothing and listen to nothing. That's the only reason why. That's the only way you ain't gonna learn. The only way you don't gain no understanding that you don't know nothing over there because you ain't doing nothing. And every time you got a problem, I'm right there. You may not think I'm there. You have a problem. I roll up on you. I'm always there in that community. I'm always present. I'm always coming up with ways so you can have more interaction with me and the community. So the only way you don't learn then is because you don't want to. You over there shucking and jiving. That's the only way you ain't gonna learn it. Okay. There's just too many resources over there for you not to know. If you don't know, it's because you chose not to. You got over there and start feeling selling and you got distracted. I don't know what happened. And the only way you gonna get over there and not know nothing because that's what you choose to do. I've been practicing for a long time. I've been studying this. I probably started studying this when I was about 29 or 30. I'm 52 now. I worked with the ancestors a long time before I started picking up stuff. Okay. All right. No one has any questions for me. Again, if you're interested in our community, the link is in the bio. You're interested in getting an astro reading from me, DM me with your time, your time, your date, place of birth, your email address. I'll get you out an invoice and I'll get it done for you. Yeah, I've been in here for a long. I studied for a long time because I was scared to open my mouth, but but yeah, I studied for a long time. Still studying. I'm still studying. I'm still a practitioner. I'm just like everybody else. We're just at different levels, but we're still learning and we're practicing and learning more. So yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still studying. I don't know everything. I know the basics. I know about a good foundation. I know that. Okay, and I always start with the ancestors. That I know. That thing. ancestors, but they drilled that in my head real good, okay? All right, you guys. I love you guys, and I'll be back here soon and we'll have more discussions. All right. All right, you guys. Thank you for being in the live stream. And as usual, I'll come back here and we'll share some more stuff. But we're probably going to be a little sabbatical break here because the community we've covered a lot over there, and so if I do come back, we'll be talking about some hoodoo icons, probably about Pascal Randolph. I'm just very fascinated by him and all his contribution that he's had to hoodoo. I'm just like, it's a shame. I feel guilty because I'm like, how could I miss him? How could I miss him? And I hate I missed him, and I read so much occult books, and I just missed him. So I probably come here and we'll probably talk about him a little bit in all the contributions he's made to the modern spiritual sciences. So I just feel like we need to do some justice because I looked over him, and God, I didn't mean to look over him. Okay, but I'll be coming back and sharing more knowledge with you. If you're interested in hoodoo, our community is already here. If you're interested in the reading, I've already put my email address in the chat. Okay,